On ABC Radio and Sport Digital, it's the D's and the Giants.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
Woohoo! The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season. We're gonna be kids. Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
A picture-perfect night at the MCG as the reigning premiers who've made a perfect start to their season host one of the sides battling in the mid-pack. It's Melbourne and GWS on a beautiful, clear Melbourne evening on the back end of what's been an entertaining Easter Saturday of football. The Saints winners earlier over the road at Docklands. The Crows getting the hot chips in Adelaide. And tonight it's the Giants coming to the MCG to take on Melbourne, a venue and an opposition that they've won their past two games in. But it's going to be a very big challenge for them this evening. Great to have your company on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and ABC News Radio, or if you're listening via the AFL app. If you're on the road this Easter, hope you're enjoying your weekend. 0437 774 774. Let us know where you're listening from and what you're looking forward to this evening and across the weekend of football. Joel Peterson with you. Jess Webster's alongside me. G'day, Jess.
G'day, Joel. Good to be here. Melbourne, they just look a class above at the moment to start this 2022 season. Big test for the Giants tonight, although they will take confidence knowing that they've beaten Melbourne at the MCG the last time they played, but it will take their very best to get over the line tonight.
Absolutely it will. So Harry Petty's in for the Demons, Premiership defender. He replaces Grandstand's own Adam Tomlinson. Toby Bedford comes out of the Melbourne side from last week, but he is named as the sub. Jake Riccardi is the sub for the Giants. He wasn't named in their initial 26. Isaac Cummings gone into the health and safety protocols, who was named in the Giants' initial 22, and is a very important player off half-back for them. So Xavier O'Halloran comes into the starting 22 for GWS. They get Matt Flynn back in to replace the suspended Braden Bruce, and Nick Haynes, the All-Australian and best and fairest from 2020, comes back into this Giants side as well. Lauren Borden's on the boundary enjoying the beautiful evening. We'll get down to Loz very shortly. Our experts are in place on Grandstand AFL, St Kilda champion, Western Bulldogs AFLW coach, Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke. G'day, Burkie.
Hello, Joel, Jess, and what a perfect night for football. Doesn't get any better than this, does it? Round 5. Beautiful.
We've been treated in the early part of the season, there's no doubt about that. Alongside Burkie tonight is a recently crowned All-Australian in the AFLW for a third time, the captain of the Carlton Football Club, Kieran Harrington, who's been part of our AFLW coverage and steps into the men's season tonight. Good to have you with us, Kez.
G'day, Joel. Jess, Burke, you looking forward to this one?
A lot to like about what Melbourne have done through the opening weeks of the season. You imagine they haven't hit their straps. They haven't exactly picked off where they left off last year, but they're doing more than enough.
They've played 3 finalists from last year, and they've beaten them by more than 4 goals in every game. So they're doing what they need to do. You don't want to be playing your best football from rounds 1 to 5. You want to be playing good enough football that you're confident, you're up and about, and you're winning, and that's what they're doing.
And the Giants tonight, Kez, they get a real test, an early marker in their season. They've been a little bit up and down, went up against Sydney in the opening round, took it right up to the Swans, blown away in the last quarter to the tune of 6 goals against Freo last week in the West. Big test tonight.
Yeah, look, they were impressive in patches in the West against Freo last week. Obviously, they'd be disappointed going away with a 34-point loss, and Leon Cameron spoke after the game about some of the undisciplined free kicks that they gave away, so I'm sure that'll be an area tonight that they'll look to tighten up.
Finn Callahan makes his debut from the Sandy Dragons, the 3rd pick in the 2021 draft, gets to live out his dream tonight. Berkey here on the big stage for the Giants.
No better place to play your first game here at the MCG against the reigning premiers. It's every young fella's dream, so hopefully he goes really well, but I'm going to throw one at you, Kez. We've been speaking about tagging a lot, Petrarca and Oliver. Do you tag? I'm going to throw one at you, and you've got young Matt Flynn in the ruck for the Giants. How about we tag Max Gawn? run around with him all over the place. What do you reckon about that one?
It's not a bad thought, actually, Berkey. I mean, we know that what Gawn likes to do is to drop back and be, an extra in Melbourne's defence. I don't mind sending someone with him. We'll see what happens.
See what happens and unfolds throughout the course of the evening. The D's 4-0 atop the table. The Giants 1-3 as we come into tonight. Can they take it up to the reigning premiers? On Grandstand AFL, here's Jess Webster.
Saturday night footy under lights at the MCG. Flynn against Gawn in the ruck. First tap out goes to Flynn, who follows up his own work, throws it on the boot, kicks long towards forward 50, pitches in front of Cornelio. Hogan comes through with the handball. It's chopped off though by Melbourne. Langdon from left half back. Nice kick down the line, finds Pickett in a bit of space.
Pickett started the game in the centre circle, not normally a spot where he starts, but getting him into the game early, which is great.
Kicks long down the line. It's a beautiful kick. Wiedemann marks on the lead. He's got a true centre wing position on the outer side. Can look to send Melbourne into attack. Kick up towards half forward. Spargo collects just outside the arc. Darts a kick inside 50. Falls at the feet of Neil Bullen. And Perryman lays a tackle and forces a stoppage inside 50 for Melbourne.
So the D's attacking to the city end. Matt Stevic, Eleni Guptas and Brendan Hosking are umpires this evening. Oliver off the stoppage. Handball to Petrarca outside the forward 50 to Oliver. Back to Bowie. Tried to put the step on Cornelio. Whitfield was in there, turned the ball over. And then he turned it over in turn to Gawn. Gawn goes with a defensive hand pass to May. Behind the wing now the Demons. Petty left it behind. Himmelberg in there to run interference. And Whitfield's away. Cuts the kick to centre half forward. Through the hands of Taranto. Spills inside the 50. Brayshaw lays the tackle. Terrific defensive effort. Locks the ball up and forces a neutral 40 metres out from the Giants' goal.
He did well there, Brayshaw, because if that got one bounce further out, they were open there, Berkey.
So a chance for the Giants inside 50. Flynn palms it down to Kelly. His handball intercepted by Petrarca. His kick partially smothered. It falls to Kelly. High up and under kick towards a dangerous position inside 50. It's off hands. Petty at ground level. Picks up the footy but tackled to the ground by Hogan. And the umpire says, I'll have it stoppage 20 metres out from the Giants' goal.
A good pressure start there, Kez, by the Giants. They're really up and about, swarming, a lot of tackles.
So from the ball up. Oh, a chance for Bobby Hill. Almost kicked it out of midair. Ball alive in the goal square for the Giants. And the kick by Ward is partially smothered. Goes through for a rush behind. The opening score of tonight's game. Giants one behind Melbourne, yet to score. 2.5 played first term.
Stephen May to bring it back in for the Demons. Stands atop the defensive goal square. Spins the Sharon in his hands. Then lays his left boot into it out to the southern side. Gawn in the pack. Flynn a hand to it for the Giants. Brings it down to the front of the congestion. Cornelio at half forward. Retreats by hand to Whitfield, who runs in an arc at right half forward. Stabs the pass inside the 50. Hunt is able to pick it off for the D's. Exits the arc to Brayshaw at left half back. Underneath the sign for the Shane Warne stand on the southern side of the ground here at the MCG. Viney's got it for Melbourne. He's going to kick around the southern wing. Gawn the target in the marking contest. Gets out the back. Wiedemann's there for the D. Squares it up to centre half forward onto the chest of Bailey Fritsch. Has numbers running back inside the 50, including Petrarca. Directs the kick to him and he runs into an open goal. You don't need to give him that amount of space. If you give him any at all, he'll make you pay. And Christian Petrarca gets the first of the night. One straight to D's. The Giants one behind through 4 minutes of the opening term.
That was I'm not sure who it was, Kez, but the kick that actually went to Wiedemann was an outstanding kick because the Giants had all sagged back inside 50. And if the Melbourne player out of the pack, who was it? Not sure who it was. They actually lower their eyes and hit Wiedemann at the top of the 50 rather than bombing it, which is where all of the Giants players expected it to go. And then Petrarca just working harder than his opponent, basically sprinting back to the goal square.
Yeah, look, he absolutely rolled the dice out of that stoppage. It was probably 65-70 out from goal, and he just took off as soon as one of his Melbourne teammates gained possession. He just knew exactly what was going to happen.
So Melbourne strike first, back in the middle. Gawn palms it down to Viney, who's tackled immediately by Ward. And we've got a stoppage still inside the centre circles. So Flynn and Gawn again. And there's a high tackle off the ball going the way of the Giants. Cal Ward can send it long into attack for the Giants. The pack forms. Oh, nice rise from Petty. Just got the sit on Hogan and takes the defensive mark.
First game for the Premiership Defender of the season. Missed the early stages of the year with a calf injury. Back into the team, played every game from round 8 through to the grand final last season. On the outer side of the grounds, chance for the Giants. Whitfield flicks the handball back to Kennedy. He wheels around on the southern side wing, hooks his kick up toward half forward, and Petrarca stands in the way. He kicks to the AFL logo for Neil Bullen. Handball overlap run from Oliver. Inside the 50 to Pickett. And again, the D's look so dangerous transitioning the football off the turnover. Cozzy Pickett's got a chance. 45 metres out. 5 in from the boundary left of centre.
Well, I think it was Kennedy's kick, just an indiscriminate one around the corner, and it fell short straight to Petrarca. And as soon as you turn that ball over across a half-back line against Melbourne, away they go. It's very, very tough to stop. So you can't afford to do those indiscriminate kicks.
Kicked a career-high 4 goals early in the year against the Giants in 2021. Lets his set shot go from 45 metres out here, and it just has enough on it. And the D's have jumped the gates here at the MCG. 2 goals straight, Melbourne. The Giants 1 behind. 6 minutes gone opening term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Nathan Burke and Karen Harrington.
That was a terrific kick from basically where the intersection of the 50 and the boundary was. But I have to agree with you, Burke. I mean, every person who watches any level of football, and particularly with the way that Melbourne set up behind the ball, if you just do those round the body kicks, they're going to have numbers behind the footy. They set up probably better than anyone in the competition at the moment, and the ability for them to rebound with the quality through the midfield like what they've got, I think the Giants are going to want to rethink that one.
You've got Brayshaw starting in the defensive 50. Normally he lines up on that wing spot, but they've got him behind the ball as well. So they've got some really good ball readers behind that play. And you're right, if they just whack it down there, it's going to come back very quickly.
So bounce goes askew in the middle, and we'll do it all again. Gawn's moved to full forward for Melbourne. Jackson in the ruck against Flynn. Flynn takes it out of the ruck and handball off to Tom Green. From centre half forward, kicks to full forward. Out the back is Himmelberg. Kick had a little bit too much on it. Tries to keep it alive, but can't do so. Ball goes over the line. Boundary throw in 5 metres around from the Giants' goal. Deep left forward pocket.
A couple of nice bits of play from Flynn out of the middle.
So back into the side this week. Matt Flynn, as the umpire, spins the ball back into play. Flynn palms it down straight to Oliver of Melbourne, though. Hacks a kick out towards defensive 50. Picked up by Neil Bullen. His kick partially smothered. And they've turned it over Hill to Ward to Steen, who gives it to De Boer. And now off to Kelly. Rush kick inside forward 50s. Chopped off by Lever, who handballs to Jordan. From right half back, skirts the boundary line and then kicks long. It's all the Giants, though. And taking the intercept mark is Taylor.
Easy pickings for Sam Taylor. From in front of the interchange gates. High right foot kick to half forward. Hogan flies, and in front of him, Lever thumps it out of play. And in fact, it was who went up for the mark. A big fella from Narrandera, country New South Wales. Big old school ruckman Berkey.
They like them, don't they? The big rough tumble.
Very much in the Shane Mumford mould.
Yep.
Here's Bruin at the stoppage. Handball off to Cornelio for the Giants. Kicks inside forward 50. May and Hogan in the foot race back to the ball in front of the behind line. De Boer dives after it. May did well, going to ground. Got the handball through to Lever. Through the traffic to Hunt, to Rivers, to Brayshaw. The D's generate some run to the outer side. Ball in the hands of Langdon, who slows things down. Back to Rivers. Kick smothered. He has another go. Whacks it up the southern wing. Pickett from the back. Oh, massive rise. Can't pull it in over 4 in the pack. And now the Giants take possession again. Tom Green to Bruin. They generate some run here. Whitfield has to reverse his field. Handball taken away by Langford. Back to Pickett. Tried to get through a couple of tackles. Giants force it a turnover again at half forward. Ash blasts it inside the forward 50. Kick misdirected. Free kick going to Hogan.
arms around against May, and as we've seen so far this year, if you're behind and you put an arm around your player, even if you're not really holding him, the umpires call that as a hold. And Jesse Hogan really needs to put this through. If the Giants are going to kick a winning score tonight, he doesn't have to kick 6 or 7, but he's got to kick his 3 to 4 at least.
Two-time leading goal kicker in Demons colours. Kicking into the Demons cheer squad at the punt right end. Jesse Hogan to get the Giants on the board. Strikes the right-hand goalpost. 2 behinds the visitors. The D's 2 straight. 10.5 gone opening term.
Stephen May to bring the footy back in for the Demons. They've kicked the opening 2 goals here at the MCG. Giants still searching for their first. May goes for a run and then thumps it to the wing. Jackson rises high in the pack. Good contested mark over Taylor. Handball's off to Rivers, who kicks down the line, looking for Neil Bullen. Kick out a little bit too much on it. Spills to the back. Kelly Roves for the Giants. Handball's out wide to Green, who has to get around Petrarca and does so. Did really well along the boundary line. Long kick down the line through the hands of Hogan. Out the back, Cornelio is tackled by Brayshaw. Just gets boot to ball. And Himmelberg escorts it over the boundary line. Throw in 70 metres around from the Giants' goal on the southern wing.
Perfect night here at the MCG. Earlier today, winners St Kilda won 26, Adelaide by 19. Ball flung back in. Keefe in ruck against Gawn this time. Kelly's there for the Giants. Skies the kick inside the forward 50. May reads it better than most. He's become such a prolific interceptor in this Demons side. He swings a beautiful left foot kick out to Bailey Fritsch at right half back. Accepts it to his chest and then moves it on down the line and Hunt marks. He's quickly moving it on as well by hand to Jordan. Jordan inside the 50. Neil Bullen the target, back with the flight, can't reel it in. Iden there to apply just enough pressure and then it was slapped out toward the boundary line. Umpire says toss it in. City end, right forward pocket, D's into attack. They lead by 10 through 12 minutes.
That's about 5 intercept marks they've taken inside the Giants forward 50 so far this game, and most of them have ended up in the Demons forward line very, very quickly afterwards.
So 15 marks to 1 already Melbourne's way in this first quarter. And it's from the boundary throw, and Keefe just hacks it out of the danger zone. It's going to come back though. The kick chopped off by Rivers. He's got it 2 kicks from goal. It's a crowded forward 50. Kicks a low ball into the arc. Beautiful kick, but bounces off the chest of Petrarca. Spills to Taranto of the Giants. Handball out wide to Kelly. Is corralled close against the boundary line. Has to kick it around the corner. And O'Halloran takes a nice contested mark over Rivers. Just defensive side of the wing. Chips it to Perryman. Not 15 though. And tackled by Hunt over the boundary line. We've got a throw in between wing and half forward for Melbourne.
Let's go downstairs on Grandstand AFL. Lauren Borden lost beautiful conditions boundary side.
It's absolutely superb down here. It almost feels like a pre-season game. It's that warm. It's about 25 degrees, so it's perfect for the fans who are here. Not the biggest crowd that's come in. A lot of the third tier is closed, but the Melbourne supporters have been making plenty of noise so far.
Had plenty to make noise about as well. Ball at half forward here. Green from the stoppage feeds it back to Taranto, to Ward. Taylor off a step from the edge of the defensive 50. Stephen May again takes the mark. Blasts it across the centre square into space where Ed Langdon has it. He chips it forward looking for Harms. Haynes got in there to disrupt things. Ball spilt to Ash. Away to Cornelio. Now back to Ash, across half-back they come through Ward. Ward to Kelly. Kelly to Bruin. The Giants build things inside the forward 50. The last link in the chain is the one that comes undone. And Rivers is able to cut it off and chips short to Lever inside the back arc for the D's.
Kicks out wide to the members' wing. Looking for Jackson. Fisted away by him by Taylor. The bottom of the pack is Spargo. Just gets around Perryman and then ships a kick towards half forward. Iden intercepts for the Giants. Handball out wide to Steen. Evades the Tom McDonald tackle and then hacks a kick down the line. It's off hands out the back. Hunt swoops on it. Gives it to Rivers, who's tackled by Himmelberg. Holding the ball, says the umpire. And Himmelberg has it just inside the centre square as players stream back into the 50. He kicks it to full forward again. Not a great kick, looking for Hogan. And Petty out the back takes another intercept mark for Melbourne.
Well, Hogan put his arms out that one. It was a little bit exasperated with the kick over his head, but there has been 3 kick to him, and Stephen May has outpointed him on all of those 3.
Viney dropped the mark inside the defensive 50 for the D's. Let Ash in, and then Himmelberg taken down by Viney. Ball spills over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in. D's by 10. 15 minutes gone. Opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, so if you're going to whinge about the ball coming into you, well, when they do kick it properly, the kicker has a reason to whinge. Yeah, has a reason to whinge when Stephen May outmarks you. So you can't have it both ways.
Saints champ Nathan Burke with you on Grandstand AFL alongside Carlton AFLW captain Karen Harrington. Harms stands under a high footy at centre half back for Melbourne and takes the mark, shoots the kick across the back 50 to Lever, who accepts it in. He pops it on over the top and gets some run from Sparrow. Chips short to Jordan. In fact, Spargo's got it at right half forward. He's going to go back around the mark and slow things down for Melbourne in the build-up.
So called to play on. Just wheels around and then kicks it long inside 50. Steen in front, Wiedemann out the back. And spills to De Boer. Handball to Whitfield. Swooping handball to Ward, who gives it to Taranto. And then handballs to Perryman at centre half back. Dishes it off to Canelio. Just has to backtrack a little bit. And then chips on the 45 to Whitfield, who's got it at centre half back for the Giants. So they trail by 10 points. Still searching for their first goal of the evening. Kicks out wide to Hayes. And then handballs to Ash. Gives it to Kennedy. Darts a kick down the line to Canelio. It's fisted away from him by Petty, and now Melbourne come up with the footy. May to Bowie. Kicks down the line. Fritsch had a couple to beat. Coming across the front is Keefe and smashes it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Stephen Canelio's pretty sore out there as well after that contest, just getting back to his feet. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Loz, Connor Iden getting the ankle re-taped up down there.
He is. He's getting his left ankle taped up fairly heavily. He started on the bench and so hasn't been on the ground long before coming off a few minutes ago to get, the left ankle taped pretty heavily.
Looks like he's putting the sock on, ready to get back out there, staring down a new contract in the coming months, hopefully for the Giants, the emerging defender. Ward from the stoppage, handball to Taranto, cuts the kick to centre half forward. Himmelberg tried to reel it in with the right arm, couldn't do so. Wheels around at half forward. That's a better kick to Hogan, just didn't quite get there in the left forward pocket, and it bounces in for a throw in. Jesse Hogan soccers the ball into the interchange hoardings in frustration. It'll be thrown back in. Giants yet to score a goal. 17 and a half played opening term. The D's 2 straight, the Giants 2 behinds.
Throwing in the left forward pocket for the Giants. Keefe and Jackson do battle in the ruck. It spills to Bullen and it's ripped away from him by Canelio. Gives it to De Boer, then off to Bruin. A high kick towards full forward. Hogan's in front position. Can't come down with a mark. And then O'Halloran's kick is offline for a minor score. The Giants move to 3 behinds. They trail Melbourne 2 straight 12, 18 minutes played first term.
Well, it's the clearances keeping the Giants in this at the moment. 12-2 in favour of the Giants against this much vaunted Melbourne midfield.
Got heavily beaten in many of the disposal categories by Port Adelaide last week, the D's. Oh, long kicks bounced off the head of Wiedemann there. He didn't quite know where it went for a second. Up on the southern side wing. Steen off the contest. Handball to Whitfield. He feeds it through to Ward with a bit of run. Kicks inside the forward 50 for the Giants. May, 2 hands to it again. Didn't pull in the mark, but pulled her in at ground level. Oliver inside the defensive 50. Handball to Neil Bullen. He darts it across to Harms, who shoots it forward to Fritsch and just marks outside the defensive 50 for Melbourne. 2 straight plays, 3 behinds. 18 and a half gone opening term. The D's again pretty keen to slow it down off half back. The ball in the hands of James Harms.
So called to play on. Just kicks down the line. Jackson works his way to front position. It spills to Spargo and then to Viney. Looping handball to Jordan, who gives it to Petrarca. And all alone at half forward is Fritsch, and he hits him. And Fritsch, beautiful ball inside 50. Pickett marks. 40 from goal. Slight angle to the right.
That was a terrific kick there from Fritsch coming in. Just again lowered the eyes. He probably had a couple of options that he could have picked out in the centre of the ground. But terrific kick, and Cozzy's going to line up for his second.
All 3 shots of goal have come from players running back into space inside Melbourne's forward 50 line. So the Giants, I know that they're pushing up the ground, but once it gets through that middle corridor defensive line, too easy for the Demons to score.
So Pickett for his second of the evening and Melbourne's third of the night strikes it well. Melbourne have the hot start early. They're 3 straight 18, leading the Giants 3 behinds. 20 minutes played opening term.
So as a Kez, you're a defender, normally in that last line of defence. Do you think that the Giants are getting too far up, or they're just switching off and letting Melbourne run past them? How would you marshal your troops?
Yeah, it's probably two things that I'm thinking at the moment, Berkey. The first one is, yes, definitely getting forced too high up the ground. The second thing that's happening from where I'm seeing things at the moment is coming out of a stoppage on either of the wings or even from half-back at times. The Melbourne midfielders are rolling the dice here. They trust their teammates are going to win the possession, and they're actually flying out. So we saw there, Fritsch was actually very high up the ground, unmarked, and just took off as soon as the ball was in dispute because he trusts that his mids are going to win it. So a little bit of both. Definitely the Giants defenders need to do a far better job not getting caught up the ground. They're being burnt on the way back, and the Giants midfielders need to do a better job when their player leaves the stoppage.
Carlton AFLW captain Karen Harrington alongside AFL 300 gamer Nathan Burke on Grandstand AFL. Ball rumbles around in the middle from the stoppage. A push here paid to Christian Petrarca, who receives the footy from Tom Green and moves it on immediately. Spears the kick to Harms on the AFL logo on the members' side. He goes low and hard to Spargo, who slides out 65 from home for the D's at right half forward. Rolls around onto his right boot, kicks to the pocket. Fritsch rises, can't mark. Was he interfered with? He was. And the live wire forwards got it. 45 out, 5 in from the boundary in the right forward pocket.
And that was that spread again you mentioned, Keza, after the free kick was paid to Petrarca. Melbourne just took off. All of them took off. Their half-back flankers took off. Their wingers took off. It's very, very hard to stop.
So Bailey Fritsch, 3 goals last week. 8 already this season. Left foot kick from 45 metres out is beautiful. And the D's are really up and running early. 4 straight for Melbourne. The Giants yet to kick a goal. The margin 21 points through 22 minutes of the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Sometimes as a defender, Berkey, you have to throw your hands up and say it's coming in very, very hot at the moment. And that's exactly what the Giants defenders are feeling at the moment, is the ball is coming in very hot. And it's on the back of controlled possessions. Jess mentioned before the mark differential. At the moment, Melbourne has 31 marks to the Giants 6. So what that allows Melbourne to do is control possession and then choose when they get to accelerate and move forward when they've got players available to lead up and mark.
Spoken like a true defender there, Kez. Blame the midfield.
So Melbourne with a hot start early. Stephen May leading possession winner for Melbourne on the ground. 8 disposals, 4 contested possessions, 4 intercept possessions. He's picking them off at will in defence and really setting up Melbourne's run out of the back line. In the middle, Whitfield on his hands and knees. Handballs to De Boer, just gets boot to ball and scrubs one towards centre half forward. It ricochets to Taranto, who gives it to Kelly, and then his handball looking for Green is picked off by Neil Bullen, and Tom Green then tackles him and wins himself a free kick. So Green has it 50 from home.
Has he got the leg here, Berkey?
I think he has. It's a big, powerful unit, this fella.
Well, his teammates trust him, don't they? They all told him to turn around a point.
Yep. I reckon kicking from around about 52. He's got 55 in him.
He's kicked 6 goals so far in 2022. The young rising star for the Giants gives it everything he has, but it's just offline. Another minor score to the Giants. 4 behinds. They trail Melbourne 4 straight goals. The margin is 20 points, 24 minutes played first term.
Having a really strong season, 2 goals in each of his last 2 games, Tom Green. Start to opportunity in the last couple of years, really. And he's really making a good fist of it this year. Here he is off the long kick in from May. Read it beautifully off the hands of Wiedemann. Got it away to Callaghan, who kicks inside the 50 for the Giants. Lever left it behind. Cornelio through the traffic. Hill, a handball to Bruin. Spun in the tackle, taken down, holding the ball. Not often Clayton Oliver lets you slip easily. Free kick's in fact going to go to Lever, who was first to the scene as Oliver darted away. And so Jake Lever from inside the defensive 50 Part of that outstanding defensive unit. Kicks toward the members' side. Taylor couldn't take the mark. De Boer fires the Giants back inside the forward 50. May stands in the road again. He's been impassable in this opening term. Brayshaw darts it down low. Spargo came in, couldn't mark. Handball to Bowie, now to Jordan, back to Spargo, and now to Gawn, who's got her at right half back.
Just bangs it down the line. Jackson works himself to the front position. It's fisted away by him. A ground level Neil Bullen. Tackled immediately by Whitfield. Bobby Hill over the top. Stoppage just forward of the wing on this members' side.
That was Max Gawn's first kick for the match. One kick, one handball so far.
It's in the ruck against Flynn. Spills to Cornelio. Hugged up against the boundary line. Just wobbles a kick towards half forward. It's all Melbourne. Rivers to Petty. Under pressure with the kick. Brayshaw had to fly. Spills to Cornelio, who gets around the would-be tackler. Handballs to O'Halloran, who went without it. Now allows Melbourne to come in. Lever with the high fend-off against Cornelio. He's given away the free kick. So Cornelio has it 52 metres out at left half forward. Gives it off to De Boer, who has to handball out wide to Ash. Runs around from 50 to the dangerous position. May with the fist. Brings it down. Rivers can't go with it, and eventually it goes over the line for a minor score. Giants 5 behinds. Trail Melbourne 4 straight 24. 26 minutes played first term.
Well, these forward entries just aren't quite working for the Giants. They're second-guessing themselves, they're hurrying, and they're playing right into the Demons' hands.
May drives it outside the defensive 50. Finds Jackson to Langdon. Came off for the first time all season at the 21-minute mark of the last quarter last week, Ed Langdon, and he plays on the wing. That's a show of his endurance. Pretty remarkable. Been such a great pickup for the D's over the last couple of years. Kicks up toward half forward, and Gawn stands tall, extends the arms, drags it in. Langdon cruises past. Maxey says, no thanks, I'll assess my options. Kick inside the 50 and drop it into the bucket for Tom McDonald. When your ruck can do things like that, it opens up all kinds of possibilities. McDonald's got a tough kick, 45 out, tied up against the boundary in the left forward pocket.
Worked really hard then, McDonald. He went forward and backwards and then ended up seeing a bit of a hole in the forward pocket. So his movement really drew Max Gawn's kick to him.
Kicked 33 goals in their premiership campaign last year. Did Tom McDonald. Lets this one go. It's across the face. Jackson's there. It's off hands. And out for a throw-in. Right forward pocket, City end. Melbourne doing all the attacking, or at least all the goal scoring to that end in this opening term. They lead by 19 points through 27.5 minutes of the opening term.
So 5 scoring shots to 4 the Giants' way, but it's Melbourne well in front of the scoreboard in this first term. And they win it from this boundary throw-in. Ward flares it out wide. Callaghan, the debutant, marks it right half back and chips it to Whitfield. Called to play on. Just measures a pass down the line to Perryman. It's Kennedy, in fact. It's Kennedy from up against the boundary line. Kicks down the southern side. Bobby Hill with the fly. A little bit of magic from Bobby Hill in front of the Shane Warne stand. He can send the Giants into attack from the wing. Shallow entry inside 50. Spills to ground. Haynes is there for the Giants. Lever picks it up. Just evades traffic nicely. Gives it to Brayshaw, and now to Bay, to Bowie. Langdon, his kick smothered over the line for a boundary throw-in 60 from the Giants' goal.
Pretty much every time it's hit the ground inside the Giants' forward 50, it's the Demons who have outnumbered them. They've got extra numbers there every single time, getting out far too easily.
Stephen made 12 disposals already, 27 his career high. On target for that in the opening term. Taranto at the stoppage, can't force it inside the forward 50, and it's a goalless opening term for the Giants. Only their second goalless quarter of the year. Their first came last week in the last quarter against Fremantle when they kicked 4 behinds. 5 behinds in the opening term here against the D's, who kicked 4 straight of their own to start. At quarter time, it's Melbourne by 19 points, 4 straight 24 to the Giants' 5 behinds. Cosy Pickett with 2 goals for Melbourne. Bailey Fritsch and Christian Petrarca with the others for the D's. Earlier today, the winners St Kilda by 26 over the Suns and the Crows by 19 over Richmond. Plenty of sport on. We'll keep you across throughout the course of the evening. Let us know where you're listening from as well. 0437 774 774. Love to have you involved in our broadcast on Saturday Night Football. Melbourne by 19 points after 1 here at the MCG on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Ready for some new adventures? Back Roads is back. From the macho mining town of Tom Price in WA to outback Queensland and Tasmania's Cradle Mountain, join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Back Roads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Wiedemann's there for the D. Squares it up to centre half forward onto the chest of Bailey Fritsch. Has numbers running back inside the 50, including Petrarca. Directs the kick to him and he runs into an open goal. Neil Bullen, handball overlap run from Oliver. Inside the 50 to Pickett. Kicked a career high 4 goals early in the year against the Giants in 2021. Lets his set shot go from 45 metres out here and it just has enough on it.
Fritsch, beautiful ball inside 50. Pickett marks, 40 from goal, slight angle to the right. So Pickett for his second of the evening and Melbourne's third of the night. Strikes it well. Melbourne have the hot start early.
Bailey Fritsch, left foot kick from 45 metres out is beautiful.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
A lot to like about that opening term if you're a Demons fan. 4 straight goals to open and a 19-point lead at the opening change. 4 straight 24 to the Giants, 5 behinds. And, well, if you're a Giants fan, you've been outscored 10 goals to 0 in the past 2 quarters of football, which is not such a great sign. 6 against the Dockers in the final term last week, 4 to start against the D's here this evening. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Lauren Borden is on the boundary. Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke, your experts. Earlier today, 5 goals to Jack Higgins, 3 goals to Max King. St Kilda 26-point winners over the Gold Coast Suns. 5 goals to Taylor Walker and 4 to Elliot Himmelberg as Adelaide defeated Richmond by 19 points. In the NRL, the Panthers 40-12 winners over the Broncos. Manly 26 over the Titans 18. The Storm and the Sharks are underway across the road at Amy Park. And there's an A-League game on tonight between Newcastle and the Melbourne Victory. We'll keep you across. Earlier today, Western United belting the Perth Glory 6-0, if you don't mind. The Giants trail by 19 points here at quarter time. Carlton captain Karen Harrington and St Kilda champion and Western Bulldogs AFLW coach Nathan Burke are with us on Grandstand AFL. And Kez, there were opportunities for the Giants, but Melbourne looked pretty clinical there in the opening term.
Yeah, very much so. I would say it's absolutely business as usual for Melbourne. They're continuing the way that they've been for the first 4 rounds of the season. Their backline led by Stephen May, who's had 12 touches already, have been absolutely fantastic. Berkey mentioned towards the end of the quarter there that every time it seems to hit the deck in the Giants forward line, it's actually Melbourne that have more numbers there and are swarming. And the way that they're able to flick the ball around and share it and be able to be quite methodical coming out of their backline, moving through quite quickly through the centre of the ground and then being able to lower their eyes and I guess, really hit their forwards with the advantage and that's why they're 4 straight. Their kicking efficiency is probably the difference at the moment. It's at 80%. The Giants going at 52%, so that's not particularly great. The other thing that I think is the difference at the moment is the marks, which we've mentioned a couple of times at quarter time, 35-10. So Melbourne doing a terrific job being able to control possession and having the luxury to be able to pull the trigger and go forward. The only thing, Berkey, that's keeping the Giants from this score blowing out even further is the fact that they're actually leading the clearances 15-3. If you had have asked me before the game, would that be the stat that they were going to lead at quarter time, I wouldn't have said no, wouldn't have said yes. So that's the only thing that's probably keeping the Giants from this lead being blown out further.
Yep, spot on, Kez. Cornelio, De Boer and Whitfield, they're sort of starting around that half-forward line, but then they're coming up into the middle of the ground. They've all had a lot of the footy, so Cornelio's had 10, De Boer 6, Whitfield's had 11, but the Melbourne defenders are pretty much saying, you know what, you can have the ball up there. You're fine to get up into that extra release player at a stoppage, which is probably the reason why they're at 15-3, because they've got those extra numbers there. But because Melbourne know, you know what, we'll trust our guys to at least put pressure on you. So when the ball does come forward, we're going to outnumber you, win that, and then go back on the way through. And as you said, kicking at 80% efficiency at the moment, so they're not under a lot of pressure coming out of there. So for me, if I'm the Melbourne defence, I'm saying, great, you half-forwards, get up the ground. We're happy to start our forward forays from our half-back line and go coast to coast.
Stephen May, the dominant player on the ground, 12 disposals. One thing we did see, though, is the Giants did find a way to nullify him. Just get Bobby Hill to sit on his head.
Yes,
is that a sustainable model, Berkey?
Not overly sustainable, no. Big Maxi Gawn started the quarter very quietly. He's starting at full forward for this quarter.
Luke Jackson into the ruck as Brendan Hosking lays it down. A perfect bounce in the centre. Free kick paid by the out-of-zone umpire. And it'll go to Clayton Oliver. In fact, it'll go to Jackson through the centre circle. So handball's off to Clayton Oliver. And Oliver whacks the Demons inside the forward 50. McDonald to run it, 2 hands to the ball. Callahan inside the defensive 50. The first game hands it off to Kennedy, who kicks a high ball for the Giants outside the back arc. Jackson left it behind, and then, as only he can, went and got it at ground level. Callahan dived across his kick. Harms flicked it back to Jackson by hand. To Bowie, still at left half forward for the D's. Oh, the fancy footwork from Lever. Sold Callahan the dummy and then got it to Oliver. He was dragged down as he got his handball away. The D's mucking around with it here. Whitfield and Cornelio put a stop to it all. They gang tackle Bowie, and we'll have a ball up at left half forward for Melbourne, kicking to the punt road end in his second term.
So Jackson against Flynn in the ruck. It spills to Jackson, and he's tackled by Bruin. And now they've coughed it up. Kelly gives it to Green. Handballs to Cornelio. Just evades traffic from the centre square. Chips the ball into the bullseye and finds Bobby Hill, who chips it forward. O'Halloran's running for him. The kick goes over his head and intercepted by Petty of Melbourne. Flares it out wide to Oliver. And it's fisted away from him by Whitfield, who looks a little ginger. Oliver can pick it up and kick it down the line to Viney, who's stripped of it. Jackson picks it up, gives it to Petrarca, to Bowie, who measures a kick inside 50 to Gawn. He marks 45 from home, 45-degree angle to the left.
Well, that last bit of play was what we were talking about, Kez, at quarter time. Cornelio came up in the stoppage, had Kelly up in the stoppage. They won it easily, and then when they went forward, it was to an outnumbered Melbourne defence, and the ball comes back the other way. So they're winning the stoppages, but you can't beat 3 against 5 in your own forward line.
So Gorm will have to kick it the full 50 metres, runs around on the angle and executes that to perfection. Melbourne have 5 straight 30. The Giants still yet to score a goal. They've got 5 behinds. The margin now, game high, 25 points, 2.5 played in the second term.
There's probably a number of passages that we could talk about and highlight there, Berkey. I want to go back to one that was a contest, high ball coming out from the Giants defence a couple of minutes ago. Petrarca was sitting under it with Lever behind him as the spare, and this is what makes Melbourne such a good team. Petrarca, arguably the best player in the competition, chooses instead to fly for the ball, but rather block out one of his opponents so that Lever can fly and take a mark. And it's for those reasons alone that Melbourne is as good as what they are.
Yeah, they're really in that enviable position of the team stuff gets rewarded, and it's what gets them excited. They don't have to worry about their own games and possessions and things like that.
Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL. At the restart, Kelly a handball away to Bruin, who slipped over. Viney's in there for the D's, shoots a hand pass at the knees of Oliver, who was good enough to get it away to Petrarca. He flicks it wide for Langdon to run onto. And then Bowie's kick knocked down by Ward on the AFL logo on the southern side for the Giants. Handball infield to Kelly, to Bruin. Little blind turn as he feeds it to Kennedy by hand. He chips it up toward half forward. Rising was O'Halloran, and Harms pulls in a good mark for the D's. Extends the arms and drags it in. Swings his kick in front of the interchange gates on the members' side to Petrarca, who again pretty happy to see things slow down in front of him. Right foot kick to half forward. Gone in the pack. Max has got it. 52 metres out. Does he have the journey from here?
I reckon he does.
He looked pretty happy and comfortable the last time.
He said the ump, I'm going to have a
and the fans are encouraging him to go back and load up large.
Love that.
If you're a Giants player, you know he's going to run out to the right. So I'd be standing right next to the umpire now.
He has turned himself into a goal kicker, hasn't he? He's just going to 9-iron this to the top of the 50 and allow Fritsch to run at it. Knocked away from him. Iden there for the Giants. Handball's looking for the safety of the boundary line. Taylor escorted it across. And a throw in left forward pocket. Melbourne deep inside forward 50. They lead by 25 points. 4.5 gone second term.
Whitfield looking very, very sore on the boundary at the moment, so we'll have to keep an eye on whether he's going to get back out there.
Umpire spins the ball back into play. It spills to Bruin. His handball intercepted by Pickett.
Dropped it.
But he is dispossessed, and Giants come up with the free kick. So Perryman flares it out wide to Green. Chips it over the top to Kelly. He's marked it right half forward just inside the field of play. Giants trail by 25 points, early stages, second term. Kelly thumps it down the line to a pack on the wing. Oh, gone. Just read that better than everyone. Stands tall and takes the mark. Just defensive side of the wing. Kicks it long down the line. Harms was interfered with by De Boer, and he comes up with the free kick. Just forward of the interchange gates. Tries to get around De Boer on the mark. Handballs to Viney. Collects on the half volley. Gets around De Boer. And then kicks it into the pocket. Taylor got hands to it. Couldn't bring in the marks. Steen there as well. Tackled to the ground by Jackson. Ball up 20 metres out from Melbourne's goal.
What a luxury to have Max Gawn sitting behind the footy, just like a big brick wall, and you've got Jackson up the other end, pretty much playing like a great full forward.
McDonald goes up, knocks it down inside the forward 50 for the Giant, or for the D's. Fighting around the football, trying to wrench it free was Perryman. The opposite number 36 in Pickett had possession. They couldn't be separated, and the ball up still inside forward 50 for Melbourne. They lead by 25. Kennedy at the stoppage for the Giants. Taken by Petrarca. Ball spilt free at the top of the goal square for the D's. Taranto a handball to Ward, to De Boer. Now to Taylor, who's stationary inside the defensive 50. Feeds it forward to Taranto. He's drawn to a stop inside the defensive arc. Kicks to a 2-on-1 where Haynes wasn't favoured for the Giants. Sparrow did well. Flicked the handball wide to Brayshaw. Onto Langdon. Inside the 50. Taylor's going to cut that off. That one was too easy. Had the outnumber and picked it off nicely inside the back arc for GWS.
Looks to switch play, was corralled by Petrarca. Handballs backwards to Perryman, was bumped as he kicked it, looking for Kennedy at half back. Fisted away by him, by Pickett. Kennedy has to run after it, and then the Giants have got themselves a free kick because Bruin was dealt with high. Comes up with the footy at right half back. Just chips it forward to O'Halloran. It's marked defensive side of the wing. Chips it back to Bruin, who's marked on the logo. Inching closer to their goal of the Giants. Bruin flares it out wide to Ash. Handballs inboard to Whitfield. Back on the ground. Kicks inside forward 50. Hogan's got some separation on his opponent and just completes the mark inside the field of play. 40 metres out from goal. Chips it into the pocket. Kick again, not the best. Brayshaw doing the hard work at ground level for the D's. It spills out to Taranto. Petty right there with him. Tackled by Himmelberg. Umpire having a good look at this one. Lets it go eventually, but Hunt is tackled over the boundary line. Throw in, 35 out from the Giants' goal in the right forward pocket.
Saturday night football from the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Great to have you with us. Joel Peterson, Jess Webster calling it for you. Nathan Burke, Kieran Harrington, your experts. Lauren Borden's on the boundary. Flynn and Gawn entangled in ruck. Oliver goes to ground, feeds the handball out. Bruin almost didn't hit his boot as he tumbled it forward. Petty goes to ground. Top of the goal square for the Giants. Coming through Rivers, lost it. Himmelberg picked it up, hooked it over his shoulder and kicks the Giants first in fine style. Harry Himmelberg with goal number 11 of the campaign becomes such an important player inside 50 for the Giants and gets their first of the evening. 1-5-11, Melbourne 5 straight 30, 8.5 minutes gone in the second quarter.
Not quite the way they would have drawn it up there, I don't think, Burke. A bit of an opportunistic goal for Himmelberg, the way he was front and centre and applied the pressure. A bit of a concern for Melbourne here with Lever just hobbling to the bench also.
Yeah, it looked like a lower leg injury there to Lever. We'll get Lauren to keep an eye on that one. But, I think tonight Giants are going to have to rely on more of those sorts of goals than the beautiful transition out of the middle and hitting Jesse Hogan on the chest. You don't tend to get them against Melbourne, so get to the ball to the top of the goal square, fight your backsides off and get some ugly goals.
From the restart, Flynn palms it down to Kelly. He's stripped of it. Ward on his hands and knees. Handball's out to Kelly, who gives it off to Whitfield. His kick smothered by Petrarca. It spills to Langdon. His handball loops it over the top to Petrarca, who chips it forward to Harms. Has marked right half forward for the Demons. Turns and looks inside 50. Wiedemann on the lead. Fisted away by him from Steen, but Wiedemann comes up with it. Handball's over the top to Langdon, who kept running. He's dumped in a tackle. Ball spills loose. No, the umpire has found a free kick Melbourne's way. Lachlan Keefe has given away the free kick against Langdon, I think for a dangerous tackle. He picked him up and ragdolled him to the ground. So Langdon's got the footy just inside the boundary line, 30 metres out.
It's one of those ones where the player with the ball almost lifts themselves up to a degree. He lifts the ball up to get his hands free. That takes him up in the air. And look, there was no danger in the tackle. He went down. There was no danger around their head. But just because it looks a little bit more forceful, the umpires tend to pay a free kick. More for the look than the danger.
So Langdon, tight angle in the pocket. He sprays it across the face for a minor score. Melbourne's first blemish of the evening. 5-1-31. The Giants won 5-11. 11 minutes played, second term. Let's head downstairs to Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Jake Lever took his left boot off. He's just put it back on without getting any strapping on it, but he did get given some painkiller, so a little bit sore, but he should be all right to go back on.
Hopefully he's back out there. Loz, thank you. Viney wins it back for Melbourne at left half forward. Handball to Bowie to Sparrow inside the forward 50. Pickett's with a chance here. Read it nicely off hands. There will be a free kick going the way of Harry Perryman. The Wagga product at the top of the defensive goal square.
Yeah, Pickett just shoved his opponent in the back, trying to get himself a nice run and jump at that one.
So the score's the inverse of one another through 11 minutes of the second term. 5-1 plays 1-5. Melbourne ahead by 20 points. Keefe inside the defensive 50. Dangerous kick. Viney picks it off. Goes short to Brayshaw, who says, Ed, you missed your previous opportunity, but that one was pretty tough. So here's one from 45 out directly in front.
can see what he was trying to do there. Melbourne were set up so well behind the ball over this wing. If you had have banged it long, it probably would have ended up in the same result where Melbourne would have turned it over. Probably just bit off a little bit more than he could chew going into the middle.
I think that's the Max Gawn factor. You look up, you see him standing down the line, and you think, oh, I can't kick it to him. I've got to do something special with it.
So Langdon from just inside the 50, right foot kick, will not score. It will not even make the boundary line on the full. That was a hell of a shank off the instep. It's wobbled its way out of bounds for a throw in left forward pocket, and the crowd they were a little bit stunned after that.
You could have done that, Joel.
That looked like me on the 6th tee of a golf course somewhere, Berkey.
So the umpire spins it back into play. Still a chance for Melbourne in attack. Cozzy Pickett doing his best to weave through traffic. He's stripped of it. No holding the ball paid. It spills to Bowie. He's dumped in a tackle. Melbourne still come up with it through Viney. His kick smothered. Now it spills to Hill of the Giants. Gives it to Whitfield, but he's run out of real estate. Throw in defensive side of the wing.
Excellent pressure there by the Giants defence.
So throw in Melbourne's attacking half of the ground. They lead by 20 points. 13 minutes played second term. Gone against Keefe. Just throws him out of the way. Spills to Taranto. It gives it to Ward. Handballs through traffic to Green. Loops the handball over the top to Callahan. Gives it to Canelio. He's tackled and dispossessed. And it's going to be a free kick to Canelio and a 50-metre penalty. So Canelio was caught high. And then the Giants have earned a 50-metre penalty. Not sure what that one was for. Maybe kicking the ball away from Canelio, but he's going to be marched within scoring distance.
I'm not sure that Harms has a lot to complain about there.
No, I think it was maybe a back chat. He slammed the ground with a fist when he was on the ground when the free kick went against him. Petrarca did throw the ball away over his head, so potentially it could be 100, but need this one, get 2 goals in the quarter, win the quarter so far.
Stephen Canelio, the Giants really need this one to keep in touch with Melbourne. And that's a beautiful strike of the footy. The Giants have their second, and they cut the margin back to 14 points. Melbourne 5-1-31. The Giants 2-5-17. 14 and a half minutes played second term.
Good finish there by Canelio. It's a real sort of captain's call, that one. They've been struggling. The last 5 minutes or so, I really liked their pressure. Their pressure's been outstanding. When the ball's hit the ground in the Melbourne forward line, their defence has been swarming, their pressure's been great. So to get a little bit of reward, albeit a little bit lucky from a 50-metre penalty, that's what they needed.
He's had a couple of tough years, Steve Canelio, but he looks like he's just sort of getting back to some of that form that we know him as.
Yeah, playing an unusual role too. He's playing as a half forward, but just giving licence to get up the ground. So I would have been thinking, okay, do you just let him tag and take away the pressure of getting possession? So it's a strange role for him, but he's doing it well.
So back in the middle, the Giants, after Melbourne kicked the first 5 of the game, have strung 2 together. And they'll take it out of the centre once more. Taranto's kick to O'Halloran, who works up at high half forward. Members' side of the ground. Former Vic Metro captain in the under-18s. Drops it on the right boot. Low kick inside the 50. An enormous fly from Sparrow, who came soaring over the top of Tom Green and got a hand right in his back. Got nowhere near the football. And Green will have the set shot from directly in front.
So it's a free kick to Green or a mark to Jesse Hogan. Who would you rather have in the kick, Kez?
You know what, I'm probably giving it to Hogan, I reckon. Just to get him going in the game. He got quite frustrated in the first quarter that we saw he's taken a mark out here on the intersection of the 50 and the boundary. Give it to Hogan, big forward, go back and kick one.
Let's see what Tom Green can do stepping into that role from 40 metres out, almost directly in front. Should have given it off to Jesse Hogan. Need to follow the advice of Karen Harrington on Grandstand AFL. 2-6-18 the Giants, 5-1-31 the D's, 17 minutes gone, second term.
Yeah, bad miss that. 3 goals to none in this quarter would have been a real boost going into half-time. Still a fair bit to go in this quarter, though, to make up for it.
So the D's work it out of defence. Finds Rivers at left half back, tries to kick down the line. It bounces off the chest of Gawn, but Cosy Pickett's there to mop up. Handball to Sparrow, close against the boundary line. Backtracks to Jordan, who chips laterally and finds Bowie. He's marked true centre wing position on this members' side of the ground. Loads up and thumps a long one towards half forward. Gawn has a fly. Spills to ground. Spargo is there, and the D's fans want a free kick for a hold. Haynes wraps him up, and we've got a stoppage just inside the field of play where the 50-metre line intersects the boundary.
I tend to agree with the supporters there. I reckon Spargo was very, very unlucky.
Gawn against Flynn. Gawn palms it down. Oliver shanks it out of bounds on the full. Let's go downstairs. Lauren Borden with us on Grandstand AFL. They're pretty busy down on the benches there, Loz.
It's the Melbourne benches that have been busy just across this last little period. James Harns had a gash above his right ear that he's had to get patched up. So luckily he's got the shaved side, so it was easily patched up. But yeah, it wasn't a nice little cut there. So
I think they've adjudged that Oliver was either out of bounds before he was out of bounds before he kicked it. So we have a boundary throw in at the junction of the 50 and the boundary at left half forward. Matt Flynn, who'd run back to the wing, has to amble back to the edge of the 50 to contest the ruck against Tom McDonald. Right on the paint of the 50. D's by 13 points. Free kick going the way of the Giants. Flynn had the arm held. And so after all that, it's a Giants ball on the numbers of the defensive 50. He will give the hand pass to Kennedy, who came cruising past, whacked it down the member's side. May across, 2 hands to it, couldn't mark. Jordan feeds the handball to May through the traffic. Gawn goes underground. Cornelio goes a little bit too high. Doesn't give away the free kick there. Petrarca coming in low and hard. Neil Bullen it was who went pretty hard at the football. Taranto grabbed him, didn't give away the free, and a ball up on the wing.
So Cornelio has a go, can't go with it, and it spills to Sparrow, handballs backwards to Jordan. The umpire's plucked out a free kick going the way of Bowie, who's dealt with off the ball. He's got the free kick on the wing. Just chips it forward, looking for Sparrow. Nice kick is marked just in front of the interchange gates. It's Melbourne by 13, entering time on of the second term. Sparrow from the wing. Kicks towards a packet half forward, a fly from Wiedemann. It spills to Petrarca, the right foot snap towards goal. It's got a pretty good bend on it. What a goal, Christian Petrarca! Brilliant! Melbourne bring up their 6th, 6-1-37. The Giants 2-6-18.
Oh, hang on, settle down, Jess.
We've got a
free kick.
So there's
goal square.
Been an infringement in the goal square. Langdon has pushed out Ash, and that goal won't count. Melbourne fans aren't happy as the Giants work it out of defence. Steen kicks long down the line. Jackson presents, marked strongly in front of Flynn, in front of the interchange gates.
The most unhappy person in the ground was Christian Petrarca, who threw the arms up. Jackson goes short to Jordan, to Sparrow. Play out of Bridgewater in South Australia. And South Adelaide rolls onto his right boot, chips it inside the forward 50. Wiedemann up, can't mark. Petrarca might have another go here in the left forward pocket. Flicks the handball to the goal square. Langdon's there, lays the tackle. Should have been rewarded. Giants on the last line, desperate in defence. Bruin scrambles a kick forward. Jordan has it knocked away by Ward, got it to De Boer, and then Harms gives a pile driver to Callan Ward when he didn't have the football. Then De Boer comes in on Petrarca. It's getting a little chippy out there.
This is good.
Tempers flaring at the MCG. Pressure's rising. 13-point ball game. Time on in the second term. Melbourne ahead.
So this game has come alive as Ward kicks down the line. And it's off hands over the line for a boundary throw in, just defensive side of the wing for the Giants. They trail by 13 points. Melbourne have had the upper hand all game, but the Giants are keeping in touch. And Melbourne fans are just getting a little restless. The umpire brings the ball back into play. Spills to Viney. Handballs out wide to Jackson. His high kick under pressure towards half forward. Wiedemann comes crashing through, can't collect the mark, spills to De Boer, gives it to Kennedy, off to Haynes. From centre half back, kicks into the centre of the ground. May got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. And now Langdon has a chance from right half forward, kicks down the line. Spargo marks in front. Had Langdon running for him. Just holds up play momentarily. Chips forward to Harms. And now gives it off to Sparrow. Kicks inside 50. Wiedemann couldn't complete the mark. Out the back, Petrarca gives it to McDonald. Handball over the top. Jackson into an open goal. Melbourne moved to 6-1-37. The Giants 2-6-18. 19 points the margin. 22 played second term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke.
Well, it was almost like the dam wall was going to burst at some stage. Melbourne have been just those repeat entries, winning the ball across the halfway line. Whenever the Giants have to just bomb the ball long, 9 times out of 10, it's Melbourne who end up with that footy and drive the ball back in, and that was just purely weight of numbers. Jackson plays like a full forward, but plays in the ruck. Is going to be an absolute gun for Melbourne for many, many years to come.
It's going to be a pretty hot commodity in the off-season too.
Yes, they're going to have to fork out a fair bit to keep him. Well done by Tom McDonald. Just didn't panic there. Got the handball over the top to McDonald. But to allow Max Gawn to just patrol behind the football like he's doing and still have a ruck who is such good up forward, it's something that every single team would love to have, but so hard to manufacture.
And it's a bit of a head scratcher when they take him with pick 4 and you think, why would they take him? They've got Max Gawn.
Yep.
And it's turned out to be a masterstroke. Starting positions warning against the Giants. Matt Flynn's informed of that as Gawn crashes into him, rises and wins it down to Oliver, who slips over and got taken high.
Always found that real fascinating, Berkey. Why tell the ruckman about the infringement? They got one job.
They probably
Oliver inside 50.
3 seconds anyway.
Jackson brought it down. Taranto's handball away to Jordan, who blasts it high, wide and not at all handsome off the left boot. It's out of bounds on the full, and Sammy Taylor will bring it back in from the last line for the Giants. 19-point ball game. 6-1 plays 2-6. D's ahead 24 minutes into the second.
2 goals apiece in this second term as Taylor whacks it out of the danger zone. Spills to Jordan of the D's. Handball looking for Viney. He can't go with it. Tom Green in there for the Giants. His handball picked up by Viney. Gives it to Jordan, who hacks a kick inside 50. Petrarca has a go. He can't reel it in. Now it's off hands over the line for a boundary throw-in. And no, it's a free kick going the Giants' way against Petrarca. And Connor Iden comes up with the footy.
One player I want to see some more of is Himmelberg. Hasn't taken the mark yet. Kicked 1 goal from a snap around the corner, but really ineffectual as a target going forward.
Iden long down the line, Gawn in front, easy pickings for the big Melbourne ruck.
He is an imposing force, isn't he? He kicks to centre half forward. Harms pulls it in, 49.78 metres out. Kellen Ward only centimetres inside the paint of the 50.
Jesse Hogan can't allow Max Gawn to mark that footy. Just cannot happen.
So James Harms looks as though he's going to load up long from outside the arc. Melbourne by 19 points. Harms kicked 2 last week and kicks into the man on the mark here. Kellen Ward got a hand to it, and Tom Green's running it outside the defensive 50 for the Giants. Things have really opened up for GWS here. Kick on the bounce to Himmelberg. Open 50 ahead of him, but no targets to go to. He collects on the paint of the 50. Handballs inboard to Hill. Hill a handball back to Himmelberg. Along the boundary line, back to Hill, who goes hurdles over the legs of Stephen May and jumps out of bounds. And it'll be brought back in 40 metres around from the Giants' goal in the right forward pocket.
And Hill might have hurt himself too.
I don't blame him.
Just it was an awkward landing and he's looking a little sore off play. The umpire spins the ball back into play. Bowie hacks it out of defensive 50. Jackson works to front position and then copping one high is Viney. He's got the free kick at left half back for the D's. Long searching kick out to the wing is a good one and finds Petrarca, who can wheel and go. Has Cozzy Pickett forward of the footy. Goes longer looking for Tom McDonald in a pack. Spills to Pickett. The right banana towards goal. Wow, got the bend on that, but it hits the post. So Melbourne 6-3-39. The Giants 2-6-18.
Keza didn't impress a couple of teammates there.
Bailey Fritsch was irate with his teammate just then.
Cozzy Pickett absolutely barbecued him, didn't he? Oh, there's Flynn rising high over Neil Bullen. Don't envy Alex Neil Bullen's position underneath Matt Flynn there.
No, there's a corky in the hip of the thigh there from the big monster.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. He reminds you of a country footy ruckman. Just ambles around the ground, crashes into people. Goes inside the defensive 50 to Taylor. Whitfield's got it. He's stationary inside the back arc. D's not wanting to come at him and protect the space. He goes to a 2-on-1 inside the centre of the ground. D's had the numbers. Oliver brought it down, but Kelly swoops onto it. Kicks inside the 50. Hogan. Was he interfered with by Petty? He was.
She paid a mark, I think.
So Jesse Hogan, 35 metres out directly in front, has the football and needs to kick this nearing half-time. Mark free kick either way. He'll go back and shoot from 40.
Same shots a goal, 6-2 to 2-6. If they're going to beat the reigning premiers, they need to take every opportunity from now on. This must go through.
Important kick for Jesse Hogan against his former side. On the right boot, he nails it. They had to have it, and Hogan delivered it. Margin back to 14 points nearing the main break. 6-2-38 the D's, 3-6-24 the Giants. 28 minutes gone, second term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Karen Harrington.
You nailed it there, Berkey. He really needed that one. He hasn't had a huge influence on the game. He's only had 4 touches to date, 2 including that kick just then. So he's gone back and slotted the goal. As you mentioned before, I mean, Max Gawn's taking him to absolute town around the ground. Is there another way that we can get, or the coaching staff from the Giants can get him involved in the game?
Yeah, it's playing in the ruck and maybe plopping him behind the ball a little bit. So maybe do what Melbourne are doing. Stay Jesse Hogan behind the footy, a little bit more uncontested marks, and let Flynn start at centre half forward and come up and be that ruck.
So Gawn rises high in the ruck, but it's all the Giants at ground level. Kennedy has to backtrack to half back and then flares the kick out wide to Ash.
They need to take some risks here, because when they go long down the line, it doesn't work. The last one was a really risky kick through the middle of the ground, but they ended up getting a goal from it. These long kicks, not working for them.
So Ash kicks long down the line over the head of Himmelberg, picked up by Lever, who gives it to Sparrow, who goes back to Lever. He lost his footing, and De Boer escorts him over the boundary line for a throw-in.
The one that got the goal was a risky kick through the middle of the ground, but Kelly was good enough to win it against 2 and then hit Jesse Hogan. So that, for me, if I'm Leon Cameron, I'm saying, look, let's be really brave. We've got nothing to lose here. We're not going to win it if we play conservative.
Can they manufacture something before half-time? Kelly from the stoppage to Ward, or Hill rises over Lever. Couldn't pull that mark in that time. Lever knocked it out to Langdon at half-back, to Viney along the boundary line. Curls a kick up the wing. Flynn had front spot. Taylor dragged off it by Gawn. Free kick to the Giants on the AFL logo southern side. Taylor's going to have to go at lightning pace here. Goes back behind the mark. Chips it wide. And sees us to half-time at the MCG. Demons fans carrying on like they've never got a free kick in their lives. But they should be pretty pleased with what their sides delivered to half-time. A 14-point lead for the D's. 6-2-38 to the Giants 3-6-24. The Giants with 3 of the 5 goals kicked in that term, and they've got 3 of the past 4 that have been kicked in the game thus far. For the Giants, goals to Hogan, Cornelio and to Himmelberg. For the Demons, Luke Jackson kicked one in that quarter. So too did Max Gawn. 2 goals to Cozzy Pickett in the opening term. A goal to Fritsch and 1 to Petrarca. Melbourne by 14 points at halftime. 6-2, plays 3-6 earlier today. 5 goals to Jack Higgins and 3 to Max King as St Kilda defeated the Suns by 26 points to go to 4-1 on the season. The Crows 19-point winners over Richmond, their second win of the campaign. Taylor Walker kicked 5 in his return to the Adelaide Oval. Elliot Himmelberg kicked 4 for the Crows. In the NRL, the game on at the moment, the Storm lead the Sharks 12-8 at half-time. The Victory are ahead of Newcastle in the A-League men 1-0 into extra time in the opening half. And halfway through the second term in the NBL tonight, the Taipans are at Perth, and it is a 3-point lead to Cairns, 36-33. A 14-point spread here the way of Melbourne at halftime as the players leave the field for the main break. Your experts on Grandstand AFL to give you their impressions of the first half. A Carlton AFLW All-Australian and captain Karen Harrington, and AFL Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke.
I thought the Giants did a much better job in that second quarter. A couple of times we mentioned that they certainly lifted their pressure. They upped their kicking efficiency, which is always going to help be able to control the ball. They went at 73% in that second quarter, so that always is a very good stat to keep an eye on. And Josh Kelly probably led the way. He had 11 touches in that quarter. The usual suspects for Melbourne, Petrarca and Viney, are going with 15 touches apiece. And as you mentioned, a little bit high risk, high reward. When they do come back through the middle of the ground, they have been able to set themselves up moving forward and giving themselves an opportunity at least to have a ping.
Yeah, they've got to not die wondering. I think the Giants, they've come out down here, MCG, Melbourne, undefeated, playing really, really well. They've got to take the game on. If they want to be conservative and just maintain possession, the Melbourne defensive setup it's highly underrated. They really get into position extremely quickly. They flood a quarter of the ground so you can't kick your way through. It's one of the reasons why they've got such a low amount of marks, the Giants. I think they're only 28 for the whole game so far. So you can't chip your way through. You've got to be bold. You've got to take the game on. You've got to get the ball to really attacking positions through the middle of the ground, because that's where you can also catch out their defenders, because their defenders all come over to one side of the ground and they clog that up. We saw when they got the ball through the middle quickly, Jesse Hogan gets an uncontested mark inside the forward line. So I want to see the Giants continue to take the game on. For the Demons, they'd be a little bit upset that they've only managed 6 goals so far in this game. Their use of the ball going inside 50 hasn't been super clean. They haven't been able to get any uncontested marks inside that forward 50. So for them, I think it's a little bit a case of just smarter ball use. They're bombing the ball in there a fair bit. They're hoping that Pickett will take a specky, or Jackson will take a specky, or someone else, or Wiedemann will take a specky. They've got to actually just start hit some leads. Make the Giants defenders accountable by leading, pick the best one, hit that, and then they can have a shot at goal. But when they're just bombing the ball in, Giants defenders are going, okay, well, let's just make a scrap out of this. And that's what they're doing really, really well. So Melbourne, unhappy they've only kicked 6. The Giants, they've got a bit of a game plan that, hey, if we take this game on, we play a little bit more risky, okay, we might get a couple of goals against us the other way, but it's the only way we're going to bridge this 14-point gap in the second half.
Becky, do you think if you were sitting in the Melbourne coach's box that you'd be a little bit concerned about the clearances at the moment? 24-11 the Giants' way. Is that an area that you'd want to be tightening up?
A little bit. It's probably around the clearance. So you've got a choice, because you've got Kelly's had 20, Whitfield 18, Ward 16. They're getting a lot of it, but a lot of it is because their half forwards are coming up into the stoppage and they're outnumbering Melbourne at the stoppage and getting their hands on the footy. When it goes forward, the Melbourne defenders have got extra numbers down there. So it's a bit of okay, which one do we want to tighten up? Do we want to tighten up the stoppages, or do we want to actually tighten up or maybe lose a little bit on our half-back line by bringing our defenders up? It's a sort of 50 each way. At the moment, I reckon I'd say, I'm not too fussed about the stoppages. I'd rather our defenders stay home and let's try and go around where the ball came from. Let's use that a little bit better, a little bit faster, and get the ball to an open forward line.
So 2 of the Giants' 3 goals from stoppage change so far in the game. Conversely, Melbourne, and we saw it in the opening term, their intercept game is really up and firing. 5 of their 6 goals from chain starting and intercept possessions, which is where they've been dominant. Yeah, so they're not getting hurt by the stoppages, but they're kicking goals from that half-back line. So I think I'd probably keep that going at this stage. Their defensive setup, Kez, you've spoken about it, that it's outstanding. It seems like that's going to be the foundation of their game, at least for now. I mean, they've not been the really freewheeling team that we saw toward the end of last year. They're obviously tuning up that ball movement and that side of things as they get a bit of touch and maybe some rust out of the system. But when you can rely on the defensive game that they've got, it makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, look, it certainly does. I mean, clearly I'm biased towards the defenders, so I spend a fair bit of time watching the way that they set up behind the ball. And the thing that impresses me the most about it is, Berkey mentioned it before, the transition from their setup, when they set up on one wing and try and pin the ball that the Giants are trying to bring forward on one wing. When the Giants are able to swing the ball and try and swap to the other side of the ground, the way that the Melbourne defenders are able to transition across the ground is really impressive. So they don't necessarily run and try and man up. What they try and do is basically beat their opponent to the right spot, and the way that they do that is by basically working together. And if you get to watch them live, the way that they're pointing and talking to each other and directing each other is really impressive, and it allows them to, as I said before, be able to transition really efficiently. And I mean, we've talked a number of times throughout the first half with Max Gawn coming and sitting behind the ball. What a luxury having someone like him, because it does make, when you're coming out of the back half and you see Max Gawn, sitting down the line, you make yourself double think your decision that you're about to do and certainly hesitate. So what a luxury that Melbourne do have by having such a leader, sitting behind the ball, and clearly, his intercept possession is as good as anyone in their team.
Yeah, I've been critical of Giants half forwards and key forwards of not presenting when that ball does get switched, but you're spot on in that they probably are, but it's just that the Melbourne defenders are getting there before them. It's
work rate, Berkey. You got to be prepared as a forward to push across and beat the defender to the spot, and give your teammate, who is under pressure more often than not coming out of the back half, an option coming out, because there's no point switching the ball if you don't have a forward who's ready to lead.
Three-time All-Australian defender Karen Harrington alongside 323-game champion of St Kilda Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL this evening. A 14-point lead to Melbourne at halftime. 6-2 plays 3-6. Plenty of sport. We'll recap the other results in today's games of AFL and more of your texts as well. 0437 774 774. If you're on the road this Easter weekend, let us know where you're headed to, where you're headed from, and great to have your company throughout the course of tonight's game. It's halftime on Saturday night footy. It's the D's by 14 points. Plenty more on the other side of the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Clive Hunton. For the second day running, Russia has attacked military industrial facilities in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Early in the morning, it hit a plant making tanks and armoured vehicles. The BBC's Dan Johnson is in Lviv.
Explosions reported in one of the suburbs on the edge of Kyiv. The mayor of the city says that emergency teams are responding to that blast. We don't have any confirmation yet of exactly how much damage has been done, whether there are any injuries or loss of life there. There was also an air raid attack on Lviv last night on this city. We're told by local officials that 2 Russian jets launched an attack having flown from Belarus. Apparently 4 missiles were fired at targets in Lviv, but they were shot down by Ukrainian air defences.
Meanwhile, the head of the UN World Food Programme says Russia isn't responding to requests for how to get urgently needed food supplies to Ukrainian civilians, including those trapped in the besieged city of Mariupol. With reports some people are starving, the WFP says it has supplies ready for those in need, but isn't being given access to them. The Prime Minister has not matched Labour's commitment for a vote on setting up a national anti-corruption commission by the end of the year. Opposition leader Anthony Albanese says that if elected, Labour will legislate an integrity commission even without bipartisan support. The coalition first announced plans for a watchdog in 2018, but no legislation has been introduced into Parliament. Scott Morrison says the coalition's proposed model will not change, and votes will only take place if support is assured.
I would seek to implement that, and I'd need the support of the Parliament to do it, just like I needed in this Parliament. But that is our policy.
New South Wales police are appealing for the public's help after a woman was attacked with an unknown substance outside a Sydney restaurant. Police say 3 men wearing face masks drove up to the woman in Haymarket before one of them threw a chemical at her. Detective Acting Inspector Sean West says the woman has burns to the face and was taken to hospital.
The 3 men remain unidentified. They were masked when they conducted the attack. But again, I reiterate, if anyone has any footage, saw anything suspicious around Dixon Street at Haymarket at 20 minutes past 11 last night, please contact us.
Staff shortages have forced Sydney ferries to cancel a number of key services, including from popular destinations such as Manly, Airmont and Circular Quay. Throughout the day, there have been long lines and high demand as the New South Wales government offered free travel over the Easter break. People using buses, trains and ferries this weekend in New South Wales are urged to plan ahead and expect delays. Free travel is being offered across Greater Sydney over the next week until Anzac Day. Rogue pet breeders and scam artists who sell animals online will be monitored in a new trial being rolled out by the South Australian government. It's putting $300,000 into a breeder re-education and compliance program. A 6-month trial will also see social media platforms monitored for dog and cat sales, with misleading advertisements reported. Brenton Thomas from the state's Dog and Cat Management Board says it will be an important tool to protect people in the market for a new pet.
This program will definitely assist in minimising the breeders who might be out there on social media or other platforms and taking advantage of people who may be looking online.
3 Chinese astronauts have returned to Earth after spending 183 days on China's unfinished space station. The 2 men and 1 woman touched down at a landing site in Inner Mongolia. Their 6 months in orbit was China's longest crewed space mission to date. The astronaut Wang Yaping became the first Chinese woman to walk in space, and both she and Yu Guangfu spoke about their experience.
I'm safe and sound. At the same time, I would like to tell my daughter that your mom who went to pick a star is back.
It was indeed a test for me that my first space flight mission was as long as half a year. At this moment, I have realized my space dream, and I can proudly report to the motherland, we are all in good health. Please rest assured.
The Chinese city of Shanghai has reported another COVID-19 record today, nearly 3,500 symptomatic cases, as well as nearly 20,000 asymptomatic ones. Most of its 25 million residents remain under lockdown as the Chinese government continues to pursue a COVID-0 policy. Shanghai's tally makes up the vast majority of infections in China. ABC News.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling? Hi. The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Viney, who's stripped of it. Jackson picks it up, gives it to Petrarca, to Bowie, who measures a kick inside 50 to Gawn. So Gawn will have to kick it the full 50 metres, runs around on the angle and executes that to perfection. Melbourne have 5.
Top of the goal square for the Giants. Coming through Rivers, lost it. Himmelberg picked it up, hooked it over his shoulder and kicks the Giants first in fine style.
Stephen Coniglio, the Giants really need this one to keep in touch with Melbourne. And that's a beautiful strike of the footy. The Giants have their second and they cut the margin back to 14 points. To Sparrow, kicks inside 50. Wiedemann couldn't complete the mark. Out the back, Petrarca gives it to McDonald. Hamel over the top, Jackson into an open goal.
Important kick for Jesse Hogan against his former side. On the right boot, he nails it.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time on Saturday night football. D's by 14 points at the main break. 6-2 plays 3-6 against the Giants. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you. Nathan Burke and Karen Harrington, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. 0437 774 774. If you want to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you here in the box at the MCG. David's listening from Rapanyup in the Wimmera. Love ABC Grandstand, not too far away from Tom McDonald country down at Edenhope, out in the state's western districts in Victoria. And Mark in Adelaide, we were talking about this earlier, Jess, says, hello, enjoying the call. What is the estimate of the crowd? So the biggest crowd these two sides ever had was 37,285. That was in round 13 of round 23 of 2018 when they were 6th and 7th going into a final series. Maybe 30 here tonight?
Maybe.
I'm being a little bit overzealous.
Actually, it's filled up a little bit since
most of them are out getting a hot dog at the moment. If they're like us, getting a hot cross bun from the media centre, which was a lovely touch on this Easter weekend.
30 is probably about right, I think.
Right, so about 30 mark is about the best sort of guess that we can give you in terms of an estimation of the crowd size tonight. And well, every chance that Mark from Adelaide might be pretty happy today, because if he's a Crows fan, they got up this afternoon. 5 goals to Taylor Walker, 4 goals to Elliot Himmelberg. We didn't get a chance to bring you the song earlier in our broadcast, so if you're a Crows fan, sit back and enjoy this. Pretty happy bunch. The Crows, a win over Richmond by 19 points. The only sour note really is a knee injury to Rory Sloane, so a non-contact injury in the last term. Darren Burgess, their high-performance manager at Westlakes, said Rory came from the ground in the final quarter after suffering a right knee injury. While we hold fears it could be serious, he will have scans and further assessment in coming days, at which point the club will provide another update. So the captain of the Crows, the 32-year-old, in last week after an adductor injury in the early part of the season. And unfortunately looks like it might be a serious knee injury to sour a very good day for the Adelaide Footy Club. Earlier today, St Kilda winners 26 points over the Gold Coast Suns. Jack Higgins with 5, Max King with 3 in the win for the Saints. In the NRL today, the Panthers 40 defeated the Broncos 12 in the early game. Then the Sea Eagles defeated the Titans 26-18. And currently across the road at Amy Park, we're 9 minutes into the second half, and it's the Storm 18-12 over the Sharks. In the NBL, nearing half-time, the Wildcats and the Taipans playing out a close one, 48-46. And in the A-League men this afternoon, the Melbourne victory 1-0 up 2 minutes into the second half against Newcastle. And it's Nick D'Agostino with a goal in the 6th minute for the victory to pace them. 0437 774 774 if you wish to get in touch. Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke have demolished the hot cross bun each at the back of the box. What did you think, Berkey?
No, it was good, mate. It was a little bit dry. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes. No, a little bit of butter inside, but I made up for it with a custard donut.
And how was that?
I'm ready for a nap.
Yes.
Totally honest.
Kez, you might have to shoulder a bit of the load here in the second half. There'll be a few doing that for the Giants here in the second half. A 14-point deficit to make up. Josh Kelly's got 20 disposals to lead all comers, and Stephen May with 15 out there at the moment as both sides make their way to the bench. You saw the Saints earlier today, Berkey. What was your takeaway from that game?
Good, did well. When they bring their pressure, if they don't bring their pressure, then they start to struggle. The Gold Coast had periods of play where they dominated. Probably should have kicked more goals than what they actually did. But when the Saints bring the pressure, they're a good side.
So the GWS have got the Saints next week. For now, they've got a 14-point lead to overturn that Melbourne take into the second half. On Grandstand AFL, here's Jess Webster.
So Gawn just takes it out of the ruck and tumbles a kick towards half forward in front of Neil Bullen, who has Whitfield for company. He can't go with it, and then Whitfield dives on the footy, tackled by Neil Bullen, and the umpire calls for a stoppage just at the point of the centre square.
Angus Brayshaw just had 7 possessions in that first half, just playing on the half back line.
So Gawn palms it down straight to Green to Whitfield, but it's picked off by Oliver, who runs inside 50, kicks long to the goal square. Jackson in a one-on-one, can't come up with it. Out the back, Haynes for the Giants. He looks to find Callaghan by foot. Couldn't complete the mark, but just corralled against the boundary line and kicks it outside defensive 50. It's off hands. Neil Bullen scrubs a kick towards the arc. Viney picks it up, gives it back to Neil Bullen. Handballs out wide to Jordan from 45 metres. Has a ping at goal, and he's got it through. Bright start to the second half for Melbourne. They move further clear. 7 goals to 44. The Giants 3-6-24. A minute played in the third term, and what a finish.
You just wonder how he had so much space there, Burke. I mean, we've been, 50 seconds into the second half, and Melbourne players just got so much time and space.
Yeah, you just get the sense already that they've said, right, enough's enough. We need to put our foot down a little bit here, and their endeavour and their attack on it and their numbers around the footy, just even in this first minute, is really telling.
Kevin in Myrtleford has got in touch on 0437 774 774. Beautiful part of the world. Really enjoying the call, guys. Big Max is stealing the show. Great player. That he is.
It's because Berkey told him that he had a quiet first quarter. He heard you, and
I tend to have that effect on players. And when they're playing well, I can bring them down like no others as well.
In the middle here, but can't affect the hit out or the clearance. Green takes it away for the Giants. Flares the kick to half-back to Lockie Ash. The young man out of Katandra in the Goulburn Valley.
This is where they need to go sideways or through the middle. You can't kick the ball long.
So Ash Goes long, Berkey, and kicks it to Max Gawn, who couldn't quite pull in the mark. Hogan did make the contest on that occasion. Ball back in Giants' hands. Green to Kelly. Kelly to full forward. Keefe and May in the race toward the boundary line. May flicks the handball back over his head. Lever's pretty keen to see it across. And a throw in right forward pocket. Giants into attack at the punt road end here in the third term at the G.
So Melbourne by 20 points with the first goal of this third term. Giants are in attack. Ball up in there. Forward 50. Gawn palms it down to Langdon. His kick smothered by Flynn, who just evades a couple. Dishes off to Ward, and the Giants don't have the reply. It was touched off the boot for a minor score, but beautiful work by the big lumbering Matty Flynn. Giants 3-6, Melbourne 7-2, or 3-7 rather, to 7-2. 3 minutes played third term.
That was the double balk by the big ruckman to get the hands free. You don't see that very often.
Two more successful ones than he's ever done in his life prior to that, I think, Berkey. Hunt drives it outside the defensive 50. Wiedemann. There is a big opportunity in front of this young man to try and cement his spot in the side. And he needs to keep lifting his output. Shoots it short to Brayshaw, defensive side of the wing. Tom McDonald's a little bit sore off the footy. Angus Brayshaw kicks the D's up toward half forward. Bounces off the chest of Gawn. Ash was there. Fed the handball wide to Steen, to Green. Down the line to Taranto, who definitely doesn't rhyme with the first two. Taranto's got it southern side, right on the centre wing. On the right boot, kicks to half forward. Hogan in from the side. Petty almost dragged it into his chest. Oliver's there at half back for the D's. Lever gave it to Petty. Just waited for Viney to run past him, put it on a platter. Hunt, a handball wide to Langdon. Now back to Bowie, who kicks the wing. Oh, good mark. Falling to his backside there. Harry Perryman's pulled it in front of Pickett.
Chips into the corridor and finds Ward. Just gets around Neil Bullen, has a bounce, and then handballs to Taranto from 50 metres out. Kicks towards full forward. May again with the trusty spoil over the boundary line for a throw-in 10 metres around from the Giants' goal in the left forward pocket.
Just hung on to the ball 5 seconds too long in the middle. Should have got the ball there a little bit earlier. Jesse Hogan had got a good 10-metre gap on his player, but the longer you hang on to the ball through the middle, Lever and May and all these guys just get back into the contest.
Ball is spun back into play. Ward has a go for the Giants. Can't go with it. Gawn's in there for the D's. Feeds out the handball looking for Viney. Jordan's also there, but they've coughed it up. Ward then coughs it up as well. Jordan to Bowie. Low ball down the line. Spargo marks just inside the field of play at right half back.
Three of the youngsters combining for the D's. Spargo onto his right boot. Kicks up the members' side wing. Wiedemann in front. Another strong mark. Starting to make his mark on the contest. Drops it in the bucket in front of Jordan. Between the wing and right half forward. 2 kicks from home for Melbourne. Has Rivers cruising past. Now Harms presents an option. He takes the former. Rivers marks 20 metres closer to home. And he goes to Harms, who kept on running. He's 60 out from goal for Melbourne at right half forward. D's by 19 points. 6 gone, third term. Harms directs some traffic and then kicks long to the pocket. McDonald with a run. Wiedemann in front of it all. Fisted away from them both. Taranto can't collect it inside the boundary line. And a throw in right forward pocket. Melbourne into attack to the city end.
So Melbourne lead by 19. They're led by as much as 25 points in the second quarter as the umpire spins the ball back into play. It's a shallow throw in. Green picks it up for the Giants, gives it back to Ward, who was dealt with by Pickett as he kicked the ball. It's a downfield free kick to the Giants. Canelio at left half back scoots away and then delivers a pass to Himmelberg, who's marked just defensive side of the wing. Wants to use the corridor, now called to play on. Has to get around Viney and then just thumps it towards centre half forward. D's have the numbers. May front position. It spills to Brayshaw. Gives it to Jordan, who flares a kick out wide to Tom McDonald, who's marked defensive side of the wing. Wants to move it quickly. Darts a kick down the line, but it's chopped off by Taylor.
That last forward entry by the Giants, there was 2 Giants players against 6 Melbourne players.
Taylor to Perryman. Now to Kennedy. To Ward for the Giants through the centre of the ground. Whitfield flicks it on to Canelio. Canelio lays it into the path of Keefe, and May stands in the road once more, and Melbourne come trampolining back the other way. Hunt through the middle, kick knocked down, found its way to Fritsch, back to the run of Jaden Hunt, inside the 50, Harms with the flight, knocked it into the path of Petrarca, collects, snaps, goals! Lethal in transition again, Melbourne. And they're out to a 25-point break. 8-2-50 to the Giants, 3-7-25. The lead a new game high, 8 minutes into the third term.
It's just same old, wasn't it, Berkey, for Melbourne? For the Giants, unfortunately, the way that they're turning the ball over off the half-back is just gifting Melbourne a passage straight back to goal. They're so clean with their slingshot off the half-back line, and the ability for them to link up, a couple of handballs. The Giants players had an opportunity to put a body on the runners through the middle of the ground. For whatever reason, they chose not to, and just brilliant passage of play right through to Petrarca at the end.
Yeah, Stephen Canelio would want his time again. So he's playing as a high half-forward coming up. He got the ball in the centre circle, turned around and kicked it straight to the spare Melbourne player, which started that forward attack by the Demons.
So Melbourne are threatened to opening this one up, but Flynn takes it out of the ruck for the Giants, just tumbles a kick towards half-forwards, collected by Hogan, who gives it to De Boer. He's dispossessed as he got boot to a ball, and the umpire was really quick to say holding the ball. Free kick to Sparrow in the defensive 50 for Melbourne.
Oh, it's a kick for mine.
So Sparrow lopes away and then drives a kick to the wing. Good contested mark there by Flynn against Jackson. He's marked true centre wing position, members wing.
Got the shoulder taped up. Take a bit of tape, I reckon, to fix that in place for Big Matty Flynn. Long inside the 50, Himmelberg with a rise, couldn't take it cleanly. Hill went to ground, got collared. Out of zone, umpire pays the 50. Free kick to Bobby Hill.
That's a bit of a
and some extra.
Off. A little bit of mouthing off there, I think it was, or some arms flapping. And the umpire was very quick to say, come on, back you come. The free kick was inside 50. I'm not sure why the man on the mark is not on the line instead of 5 metres out.
So 44-metre penalty for Bobby Hill, who just chips it through and gets the visitors first of the second half. The locals not all that happy with it. 4-7-31 for the Giants. The D's 8-2-50. 10 minutes gone third term. First goal of the game for Bobby Hill. Grandstand AFL, your experts Nathan Burke and Karen Harrington.
I'm just waiting for a replay here of it was a too high free kick. It looked like Bobby Hill just sort of lowered the body a little bit, and sometimes when the players that happens and you give away the free kick because the player lowers their body, you get a little bit angry. And he's having a look here. Oh, yep, free kick was goodness me, the player on the mark put his hands on his head and was a little bit exasperated. Didn't flap the arms, it was lever, just put his hands on his head.
I think it might have been Oliver, who's away from the footy and has gone with the big arms out, so which there wasn't a hell of a lot worse.
Two arms flapping. Disgraceful.
So the Demons win it out of the centre through Oliver, who kicks out wide to the wing. Ward there did really well to collect the footy, gives it to Kennedy, back to Kelly, who then handballs backwards to Perryman. The long driving kick now down the line towards half forward, off hands. Hunt, handball looking for Petrarca, gave it to Canelio in the end, who kicks inside 50, and May intercepts again for the Demons, his 8th intercept possession for the night.
Thought here's a novel idea, kick it to Stephen May, and we'll go ricocheting back the other way. Oliver sends it out wide to Pickett for the Demons, up to half forward, Fritsch rises, can't mark, Pickett's kept on running, Cozzy bursts inside the 50 to finish it all off. He'll be bringing the D's faithful to their feet for years more. He ran all the way down the southern side of the ground and finished it off beautifully. 3 goals to Cozzy Pickett. Melbourne's 25-point lead restored, 9-2-56. The Giants 4-7-31, 12 played third quarter.
Well, Stephen Canelio, according to our stats, has 3 score involvements. I think they're all for Melbourne, unfortunately.
It's a bit copy and paste and repeat, isn't it, Berkey?
Yeah.
Same story I think if Canelio had his time again, I think he would like to perhaps find up a teammate, even if it goes lateral. I think they're persisting with this kicking forward, and clearly it's just not working for them. They need to be able to find a target, hold on to a mark, let their forwards get forward of the ball, be able to turn around and lead and have a pretty decent inside 50, because if they continue this way, it's going to get a whole lot more ugly.
So a free kick to Melbourne in the centre. Could have been the second 666 infringement. So Gawn takes it out of the middle and pumps it long into attack once again for Melbourne. Off the hands of Wiedemann to Neil Bullen. Right foot snap towards goal, and Melbourne are running hot at the G. They move to 10-2, 62. The Giants 4-7-31. It's now a game-high 31-point lead to the Demons. 13 minutes played third term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke.
Kez, you're a captain. You'd know this better than me. I'm just a dumb coach. I thought the 666 sort of reset each quarter. Doesn't anymore.
No. So the example I gave a few weeks ago was the Melbourne-Brisbane preliminary final here at the MCG, when Brisbane gave one away at the last bounce, having had one in, I think it was the third quarter or something like that.
Okay, another stupid rule.
It's unforgivable, though, really, isn't it? I mean, right now the game's not on the line, but giving away infringements like that, they're easily avoidable by having organised plays and organised benches. It's an absolute coach killer, I'm sure.
When I take over from Gil, that's the first one I'm going to change. Joel?
Okay, that's in the interview for Nathan Burke for the AFL CEO's role. Out of the middle, Viney paddles it forward. Steen was there. McDonald hot on his hammer. Bruin spins through a Sparrow tackle. Flicked the handball away to Ash. They got it to Ward, a kick across the centre of the ground, sliding in his arms to mark, just forward of the centre circles for the D's. 31 points the margin, 14 gone in the third term. Harms inside the forward 50. Max couldn't mark. McDonald did the roving and slid another one through. And it's getting pretty ugly pretty quickly for the Giants. 37 points the Melbourne lead, as quick as a flash with 3 in a row. 11-2 plays 4-7, 14 minutes gone, third term.
Berkey, you're a coach, I'm just a captain. Melbourne's just kicked 3 and they're absolutely running red hot. What moves can you pull? What levers can you trigger here to stop the stem of this? Is that on you in the coach's box, or are you looking at your leaders on the ground?
A little bit of both. You don't really want to rely on anything. As a coach, I can't absolve everything and say, well, players, you do something, and players, quite rightly, you should be saying to the coach, hey, help us out. I'm still trying to get the footy and do some things. So between the two of you, you need to come up with something. With the 666, it's hard when they're getting the ball straight out of the middle to do something different. As the play unfolds, then you can potentially say, you know what, let's just shore it up with a play behind the ball or something like that.
So Melbourne with 5 out of the last 6, and they win it again out of the middle. Petrarca inside 50. Gawn presents, couldn't come down with it. McDonald threw that. The umpire says play on. Steen's kick is smothered. Gawn picks it up, gives it to Sparrow, who was copped high. D's fans irate. He's tackled to the ground. The umpire says ball up 20 metres out from Melbourne's goal.
Camped inside forward 50 at the city end. Gawn hooks it over his shoulder. Jordan couldn't get the kick away. It was smothered. Kennedy got pushed through the pack for the Giants. Viney's on the end of it, forces it forward. Skies it into the pocket. Iden's there. Fritsch knocks it away from him. Off hands, throwing left forward pocket.
Viney's doing his normal bullish sort of plays, up to 17 possessions at the moment. He's got 12 of them uncontested and 7 contested, but just love the way he's just so busy at a contest.
So Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Right foot stop. You're kidding, Max Gawn. He's got 2. Some brilliance out of the stoppage, and Melbourne are doing it easy here at the MCG. They move to 12-2, 74. The Giants 4-7-31. The lead out of nowhere is blown out to 43 points. 17 minutes played third term.
Well, Kez, that's probably harder than you think, because when you look at the goals, he was on the left-hand side of the goals. Here's the big cheer as he's coming off to the bench. But he actually got the ball facing the boundary line, turned away from the goals and did a big 360 so he could get the ball onto his right boot and put it through the middle. So it was a very acrobatic act from such a big fella. Normally, you'd probably kick the ball on the other side of the ground with your right foot.
Melbourne with 6 goals in the term ties their best quarter of the season thus far. We're only 17 minutes into this quarter. Taranto out of the middle for the Giants. Finds Whitfield at right half forward in line with the front edge of the centre square.
6 goals in a quarter is not a lot these days, Joel. That surprises me a little bit.
Whitfield goes inside the 50. Here's big Matty Flynn, who's marked 40 out directly in front.
We've seen some teams kick 8-9 goals unanswered in a row these high-scoring days. 6 and a quarter, or 5 and a quarter after this point it's not a lot.
Their best score of the season's 14-15, which was round 3. Their best quarter came in the second quarter in round 2. That was against the Gold Coast when they kicked 6 straight. So Matt Flynn to line up here, hasn't kicked a goal this season. Back into the team to replace Braden Bruce for a steadier for the Giants. He delivers. The big fella gets one on the board and ends the run of 4 consecutive Melbourne goals in the blink of an eye. 5-7-37 the Giants. The D's 12-2-74. Margin back to that 37 points. 18.5 gone third quarter.
It's a great response there from Matt Flynn, isn't it? Max Gawn kicked one less than 30 seconds ago, and to be able to go down and nail it against the flow and against the against the passage of play that Melbourne's been able to put on for the last, what it's been, probably 15 minutes. It's a really terrific finish by Matt Flynn there.
Yeah, 9 disposals, 3 marks and a goal. That's pretty good going. What have we got? Let's look at the other play. What's old Maxi got himself up to now? There he is on the bench. He's had 13 and 2 goals.
So we're back in the middle. It's been a goal fest in this third term. Flynn out of the ruck. Wobbles a kick towards half forward. Taranto kicks off the deck. Tumbles inside 50. Bounces past Hogan. Keefe out the back. Couldn't go with it. Now Whitfield tracks it towards the boundary line, but Brayshaw picks it up for the D's. Gives it to Petty, and now handballs off to Oliver. Gives it to Jordan, who's kicked down the line. Hits Sparrow on the lead. Marks in front of Haynes. So Melbourne lead it by 37 as we enter time on of the third. Fantastic kick into the centre of the ground. Finds Stephen May. Handballs off to Brayshaw. Long kick inside 50. It's fisted away by Iden. At ground level, Spargo chips the pass forward to Fritsch. He marks 40 metres out. No real angle to speak of.
It's that change of angle, isn't it, Kez, that as soon as Melbourne come out of their back line, changing the angle, not going up and down the one side, they look really, really dangerous.
I think it was Sparrow then that hit May in the middle of the ground, just completely opened the ground up. The Giants had absolutely no chance.
So Bailey Fritsch kicked a goal in the opening term. This for his 10th goal this season. On the approach. Umpire doesn't have to work. And Melbourne have another. 13-80 plays the Giants. 5-7-37 the margin. Back out to 43. 20 minutes played, third term.
One of the players that I think's had a little bit of an influence in this third quarter, not necessarily through his disposal, but with his positioning on the ground, is Angus Brayshaw. He's only had 11 touches on the night. He's going at 83% efficiency, and he's only gained, about 130-odd metres. But his positioning at the stoppage is really crucial for the way that Melbourne want to set up. He sits about 2 to 3 metres back off the stoppage, which means that if the Giants were able to win the clearance and try and come through the front of the stoppage, he's there. And in that passage of play, then he was one of the link players. So his work rate to get from the stoppage and get out to be one of those link players that allows them to transition across the half-back line the way that they're doing it is really impressive.
Yeah, and he's playing on Canelio, and he's just quite happy to let him go up the ground and let Canelio turn the ball over going forward.
Oh, big Maxi rips it out of the centre, kicks inside the 50. McDonald can't take the mark. Sparrow's first there, driven into the turf in the tackle by De Boer. Ball spilt loose, eyed it in the back 50 for the Giants. Handball to Steen. To Tom Green, bounces off Oliver. He gets his handball away towards Haynes, who's turned it over. Petrarca marks 60 from home. Kicks inside forward 50. Wiedemann from the back. Taylor stood his ground in front, got a hand to it. Knocked it to the ground in the back pocket. Ash wobbles a kick outside the defensive 50. Through the hands of Canelio. Whitfield's there, goes to ground. Handball around the corner. Now Cornelio steadies by hand to O'Halloran, to Bruin, who kicks the outer wing. Hill and Rivers, neither can drag it in. And we'll have a throw in. Southern side, just attacking side of the wing for the Giants. 13-2-80 the D's. The Giants 5-7-37. 22 minutes gone, third term on Grandstand AFL.
Umpire flicks the ball back into play. Green rows the tap and he's dispossessed, holding the ball. Free kick Melbourne, advantage paid. Petrarca gives it to Viney. From half forward, chips inside 50. McDonald marks 48 from home. It's close against the boundary line. As the players rush back into the 50, just takes another few steps backwards. Might have to have a shot now.
He's got the distance in him. Saw him warming up.
So decides to pitch it towards full forward. Wiedemann presents. Can't complete the mark. Neil Bullen, clever handball over the top. Viney dribbles a goal. Melbourne add to the Giants' pain. 14-2-86. Giants 5-7-37 margin, now 49-23 played third term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke.
Talk a lot about defenders, Berkey, when I'm in the box, but as a defender, you just can't allow the ball to get over the back. It's an absolute sin as far as the defender's concerned. And even though that ball spilt, they still allowed Viney to run goal side and getting very ugly.
Yes, it's getting very ugly. It's too easy, those sorts of goals. It was just a contest that Melbourne played. Neil Bullen was at the fall of the contest, and where all good small players should be, right in front and centre. Viney on the move. When you're on the move coming through a contest like that, you're making something happen. He was the one that was moving the most. He's the one who ended up with the footy. He got himself a goal.
8 goals and 8 straight, if you don't mind, to the D's here in this term. The last time they had a quarter this good, the last quarter in the grand final. I think we all remember how that went. Whitfield takes it out of the middle, pumps the Giants high inside the forward 50. Hogan a hand to it. It spills out the back. Bruin was there, jammed a kick on the boot, couldn't get it very far. Rivers stands in the way for the D's. Blast a tumbling ball out toward the southern side. Neil Bullen sets chase, dragged across the boundary line by Ash. And we'll have a throw in right forward pocket for the Giants, or right half forward for the Giants. Let's go downstairs. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
You just look at Melbourne's bench and you realise how nice it must be to be reigning premiers. Mark Williams is smiling. Everyone's pretty relaxed. Meanwhile, the Giants players are coming off just looking absolutely spent and dying for a rest.
Melbourne have certainly turned it on in this third quarter. It's from the boundary throw-in. No winner from the stoppage, and it spills over the line for another throw-in.
I can attest you do get tireder when you're behind on the scoreboard.
It's a long way back for the Giants. They trail by 49 points. Still over 6 minutes of play in this third term. It's from the throw-in. Langdon picks it up, hacks it down the line. Neil Bullen against Ash. Has a couple of bites at it. Again goes over the boundary line for a throw-in. True centre wing position out of side.
Do you get tired from running, Berkey, or just tired of being behind in the game?
Well, you always make yourself look tired to the coach. Like, I'm trying really hard, coach.
I'm doing my best.
I'm working really hard. It's just not...
Don't pin it on me. No. Petrarca from the stoppage. Handball to the run of Langdon. To Viney, who gives it back to Langdon, who comes arcing and kicking inside the 50. Cozzy Pickett got upstairs, knocked it down to Harms. To Fritsch on the left boot. Curls it across the goal face. Jordan in the 2-on-1. Forced it to ground. Haynes is there for the Giants inside the defensive 50. To Bruin, who's been good. Kicks outside the defensive 50. Keefe and May. May came flying across to do enough and knocks it out of play, and that's warmly received by the faithful here at the MCG. Very happy with what they're seeing. 26 minutes into the third term, their side's kicked 8 goals straight here in this term. They lead by 49 points.
May's had more metres gained than any Giant on the field. It's been a great game by the fullback as Viney emerges with it. His handball, though, intercepted by Callahan. The first gamer kicks down the line again, looking for Keefe, fisted away by May, boundary throw-in.
Well, Stephen May, you said he got a round warm of applause by the fans. He also got 5 high fives from his players, his teammates, just for getting a spoil. And spoils another one, gets another 3 high fives. And it's just that spirit that Melbourne have that a lot of other teams just don't have.
And here they go again. Jordan to Petrarca. Right foot bender inside 50. Those picked off by Taylor of the Giants.
Maybe a little bit of a nervous moment there between Steen and Taylor. Steen came across. Taylor took the mark to Kennedy. The inaugural Giant sends it wide to Hill. Defensive side of the southern wing. Melbourne 14-2. The Giants 5-7. Awful kick. Turned it straight over. Fritsch goes inside the 50 and only just pitches inside the line looking for Pickett. It'll be a throw-in in the left forward pocket. So the D's with 8 goals straight in this term. The Giants with 2-goal-1. What was a 14-point game at half-time has turned into a 49-point blowout. The 225s in ruck on the edge of the 50. Keith had the better of it. Tom Green's there. His handball went looking for Ward, who chased it toward the boundary line but couldn't keep it in. And a throw-in this time just outside the forward 50 for Melbourne, but still at left half forward at the city end.
So Melbourne by 49, 28 minutes played now in this third term. Petrarca rose, high kick towards half forward. Fisted away by Jordan, spills to Neil Bullen. He's tackled by Ash. Forces a stoppage, 40 metres from Melbourne's goal. So they're into attack again. It's been some quarter from the defending premiers. Taranto has a go. He can't go with it. Petrarca picks it up. Hacks a kick towards goal. It's offline. 14-3, 87 plays the Giants. 5-7, 37 the margin now. And even 50 points. 28 and a half played third term.
There's a rogue boo from someone in the crowd then. I'm just hoping it wasn't because he kicked a point. 8 goals won for the term now. The D's. Kennedy ambles in from fullback, sends a long kick to the southern side. Bowie at the front of the pack, spilt to Langdon, by hand to Hunt, who kicks to the edge of the 50. McDonald drags it in. 51 metres out, Tom McDonald. Went the 9-iron earlier in the quarter from a similar journey. This time pulls out the 5-iron, a little bit flatter to the pocket. Wiedemann was up, he couldn't drag it in. And we'll have a throw-in in the left forward pocket. The D's still camped inside their forward 50. Nearly 30 minutes gone in this term. The margin an even 50 points. This has been some sort of a statement from Melbourne.
And they might not be done yet in this third term. Umpire flicks it back into play. McDonald can't go anywhere. The umpire says, I'll have it. Stoppage 30 metres out from Melbourne's goal. Quick to toss it up in the air. The Rucks go at it. Spills to Langdon. Against the boundary line, gives it to Oliver. His kick smothered and goes over the boundary line for a throw-in. 30 metres around from Melbourne's goal. They lead it by 50 points. 30 minutes played third term.
Al Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke, Karen Harrington, your experts. Flynn with the right hand, knocks it down in ruck for the Giants. Green a handball through the stoppage to Ward, links up by hand with Kelly to Steen. They generate some run outside the defensive 50 here, the Giants. Taranto's kick long down the line was going to sit on the head of Max Gawn, but he got pushed after he got rid of it. So a free kick to Harry Himmelberg, who's got it 75 from home. Comes inboard to Ward, who's really no closer to goal. Ward short. O'Halloran's on the end of it. Neither sub used in the game so far. Riccardi for the Giants, Bedford for the D's. O'Halloran swings it across the centre square, gives some ground in terms of going toward goal to find Haynes, who kicks to full forward to a big pack, and Max Gawn's among it all. Couldn't take the mark but dragged the footy in. Handball to Langdon, handball to Brayshaw, handball to Oliver. The D's out again. Oliver spots up Pickett at half back.
Melbourne had 16 players inside their defensive 50 then, and Giants thought the only way we're going to get it is to actually just bomb it in there. Melbourne are going to win that one 99 out of 100 times. They need to be smarter and have more patience.
So Pickett swings it out wide to Langdon, who bangs it down the line. Off the hands of McDonald, spills toward of the Giants. Handball inboard to Keefe, who handballs backwards to Ash, but they've coughed it up again. Petrarca gives it to Wiedemann from 50 metres out. It's long. It's strong. It's missed. Minor score. Melbourne moved to 14-4, 88. Giants 5-7, 37. 51 points the margin. 32 minutes played third term.
Haynes brings it in for the Giants. Kick looking for O'Halloran. Got infringed upon on the back 50. Slices the kick inside the corridor. Bowie picks it off. Bowie goes long. This one's there. Jake Bowie with just his second AFL goal. Took it away from the Giants. Strolled to the top of the 50 and went whack. 32 and a half gone third term. Melbourne by 57 points.
Well, Dad Brett will be up in the stands, and the only one more excited than that would be Mum Dee. She'd be...
former teammate of yours, Berkey, Brett?
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately only played the 80-odd games for the Saints. Didn't quite qualify for father and son, but no, Brett and Dee and sister Hannah, they would be absolutely on cloud nine over that one. He's just been absolutely outstanding. And his old man, I think, Jake's won, 11 in a row? I think Brett only won 11 out of 80.
So Giants win it out of the middle. It's a quick kick towards half forward off the boot of Himmelberg. Spills to Cornelio. Misses with the right foot snap. So Melbourne 15-4. The Giants 5-8. 33 played third term. And you mentioned Berkey, Jake Bowie. 11 games, 11 wins, a premiership, 2 Rising Star nominations. It's been some start to his AFL career.
Absolutely. I played with his dad for 10 years. And we didn't get anything close to any of those.
Brett Bowie was 37 and 48 in his career, Berkey.
There you go.
In terms of win-loss. There's a few more than 11 in there. Ball outside the defensive 50 for the D's. Neil Bullen off his hands to Viney, to Oliver. Kick down low up the outer wing. Perryman slid in, took it on the ground. Handball to Kelly, just missed Cornelio. That was great work from Viney. Went between his legs as he gathered the football. Got it to Neil Bullen, into the centre. Pickett elevates. He can't mark. Iden's there for the Giants. Handball to Green, who was under pressure. Now back to Whitfield. Dribbles a left foot kick to De Boer. De Boer to Kelly. Tries to sidestep a couple. Got run down. Didn't hear the footsteps. And Jaden Hunt took the footy away and wins a free kick at the top of the defensive arc. They are doing it all, the D's.
Flares it out wide to Langdon at left half back. Chips down the line to Oliver, who's all alone on the wing. He chips it forward to Harms, who's marked just outside forward 50. Swings around, kicks long to Wiedemann. Clunks a big grab, 20 metres out, 45-degree angle to the left.
What a fantastic mark. Beautiful contested mark. It's exactly what you want from your full forward. Wasn't the best of kicks. Certainly wasn't to his advantage, but he certainly made the most of it.
That's Harms's 5th inside 50 for the game. I thought he might have had more than that. It still leads all comers, but his work outside from sort of 50 to about 60, 65 metres is outstanding.
10 individual goal kickers for Melbourne this evening. Wiedemann can make it 11 with his first of the night. On the three-quarter time siren here at the MCG to put an exclamation mark on the first 3 impressive quarters from Melbourne. They lead by 62 points, 16-4, 100. The Giants 5-8, 38. Your goal kickers, Petrarca, Gawn, Bailey Fritsch have 2. Pickett has 3. And then singles to Jackson, Viney, Bowie, Jordan, McDonald and Neil Bullen. And for the Giants, all individual goal kickers, Cornelio, Hogan, Himmelberg, Flynn and Bobby Hill.
It was a demolition in that third term. Melbourne with 10 goals. 10 goals, 2 in that third quarter alone. Took a 14-point margin at half-time and have absolutely blown the door off the contest to lead by 62 at three-quarter time. They're doing a little bit of everything, the D's. This is a hell of a statement on the big stage on Saturday night. If you could even have a worry through a 4-and-zip start, they have blown any doubts away here in this third term, and they're going to romp to an easy victory here at the MCG and go to 5-and-zip for the second season in a row. Three-quarter time, 62-point lead to Melbourne, 16-4 place, 5-8 on ABC News Radio, ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Neil Bullen scrubs a kick towards the arc. Viney picks it up, gives it back to Neil Bullen. Handballs out wide to Jordan from 45 metres. Has a ping at goal. And he's got it through.
Back to the run of Jaden Hunt. Inside the 50. Harms with the flight. Knocked it into the path of Petrarca. Collects, snaps, goals. So 44-metre penalty for Bobby Hill, who just chips it through and gets the visitors first of the second half. Oliver sends it out wide to Pickett for the Demons. Up to half forward, Fritsch rises, can't mark. Pickett's kept on running. Cozzy bursts inside the 50 to finish it all off.
Braun takes it out of the middle and pumps it long into attack once again for Melbourne. Off the hands of Wiedemann to Neil Bullen. Right foot step towards goal and Melbourne are running hot at the G.
Harms inside the forward 50. Max couldn't mark. McDonald did the roving and slid another one through. And it's getting pretty ugly pretty quickly for the Giants.
So decides to pitch it towards full forward. Wiedemann presents. Can't complete the mark. Neil Bullen, clever handball over the top. Viney dribbles a goal.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Melbourne with 10 goals to in the third term. A rollicking old affair. Their best third quarter this millennium. 10 goals to 16-4-100 to 5-8-38 at three-quarter time. They have blown the game open in a very powerful display. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you. Nathan Burke and Karen Harrington, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Going around the grounds on your Saturday night of sport, full-time over the road at Amy Park. The Storm winners over the Sharks 34-18 in the NRL. A couple of minutes left in the A-League men's clash in Newcastle. And it's the Jets and the Melbourne Victory tied at 1-1. D'Agostino with a goal in the 6 minutes and Sia Travanis with a goal in the 65th. In the NBL, nearing three-quarter time, Perth has blown out Cairns. That was close going into half-time, and the Wildcats 77 lead the Taipan 60. Earlier today in the NRL, the Sea Eagles by 8 over the Titans. The Panthers smacked the Broncos 40-12. And your winners in this round of AFL football so far, Adelaide by 19 points over Richmond at the Adelaide Oval, and St Kilda by 26 over the Suns at Docklands earlier today. There is a couple of games in the AFL tomorrow. You'll hear them both on ABC Grandstand. Carlton and Port Adelaide at the MCG before Essendon and Fremantle at Docklands. So ABC Radio or ABC Sport Digital. If you can't get it there, grab it on the AFL app. You can hear all the games we're covering throughout season 2022. Melbourne by 62 points at three-quarter time. The story in that term, Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke, was all the Ds.
Yeah, look, it certainly was. Not much can be said about Melbourne that hasn't already been said, Berkey. They were absolutely clinical. They're led from the front by the usual suspects. Petrarca he's up to 24 touches. He's had 5 clearances and impressively has had 434 metres gained. Clayton Oliver right there with him, 25 touches. He's had 390-odd metres gained himself. Jack Viney, 23. The list goes on and on. The Giants can't be surprised. This is exactly, if Melbourne wrote a book on how they've won a premiership and how they've started this season, what we're seeing in front of us is exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely. And those guys, they're racking up 25, 30, 35 every single week. But what really impresses me about Melbourne is the contribution they get from their bottom 6. Let's call them that, for want of a better term. Harms contributes, Rivers contributes, Neil Bullen's kicked the goal, he contributes, Sparrow, Jordan's had 18 possessions. We probably haven't thought about him very much, but he's up to 18 possessions. Bowie's up to 17 and a goal off the half-back line. That bottom rung of 8 players they're contributing at a really high level.
Bowie's had a great season, had 34 earlier, I think, in round 2. James Jordan had 27, a career high last week. So it's not just a one-off.
No, and they're doing it against good teams as well. So that's what makes Melbourne such a great team. They've got their superstars, but the next rung are all contributing.
They are an imposing prospect. 62-point lead to the D's as we enter the final term. Jackson in ruck for Melbourne, but Flynn with the takeaway. A handball to Ward and to Whitfield, who comes bursting off the back of the square. He shoots it forward to Green. Green goes to full forward. Haynes is stationed up there for the Giants. Hunt for the Demons inside the defensive 50. Handball went missing. Harms. Callahan's there for GWS on his first game. Taranto flicks a handball around inside the 50. Kelly gave it to Green. Ran out of options. Had to throw it on the boot toward the pocket and Himmelberg. Callahan slides in. Harms over the top of him. Got the football out somehow. Then Petrarca ran down Taranto. Forced him toward the boundary line. And it'll be thrown in right forward pocket for the Giants at the city end.
So only 2 teams so far this season haven't won a final quarter. One of them is North Melbourne, the other one is GWS. They can't get moving in this final term. It might just get worse for them. So from the boundary throw-in, Brayshaw roves the tap. His hacked kick outside defensive 50s picked off by Perryman. Just centres the kick to Kennedy, who's marked inside the centre square. It's 2 kicks from goal. Nearly everyone except for Keefe is forward of him. So he just has to chip it short to Kelly. 60 metres from goal. Loads up. Sends it to a crowded goal square. It's off hands. At the back, Harms. Here's handball looking for Viney. Coming through is Callahan for the Giants. His handball's intercepted by Harms. He can't keep it in though. Boundary throw in 45 metres around from the Giants' goal. Melbourne by 62, 2 minutes played, fourth term.
I'd like to see Kelly just take another short pass, then another short pass, because the bombing just doesn't work against Melbourne. So be a little bit more patient, a little bit more composed.
Ball tossed back in. Here's Green off the stoppage. Curls it back toward goal. Almost got there. Did it get over the line for a score? It didn't. They all stopped and Brayshaw picked it up off the behind line and darts the kick to Oliver. To Sparrow. Handball onto Harms. He's got Petrarca running over the top on the members' side. Petrarca's got Gawn over the top. Shoots the handball forward to Sparrow, who's kept on jogging. Now to Max. Max has got Wiedemann short. This is clinical training drill stuff from the D's. Wiedemann's got Spargo in the pocket. Chips it in that direction. Spargo's got Sparrow in the pocket. He doesn't elect to advance the football. And Charlie Spargo goes back behind his mark 45 out and probably doesn't have the journey. Ease with which they moved the ball then, Melbourne, was pretty remarkable. Let's see whether Spargo can rev it up from long range. He kicks to the pocket. It's touched off the boot. McDonald gathers. Handball back to Spargo. Runs toward the boundary line. Centering kick this time. Jackson makes a lead. Wiedemann brought it down. Oliver's there. Handball to Jackson. Drag without it. He wanted a free kick. Ash spins through. He's taken without the football. Green got it away to Ward, and Ward can exit the defensive 50 for the Giants.
His kick looking for Hill. It's fisted away by Harms. Hill is playing for the free kick and gets it. And it's just held by Harms. He has the footy in hand at right half back for the Giants, right up against the boundary line. His team trails by 62, early stages final term. Hill chips it over the top to the debutant in Callahan. Coming up for disposal, number 11 for the first game up. Swings it across the ground. It's a good kick. Hits Steen at centre half back. Handballs backwards to Kennedy. He goes backwards even further to Taylor. Now the exiting kick finds Whitfield at left half back. Loops the handball over to Kennedy, who kept running from the wing. Pumps it long. Himmelberg has a couple to beat. Couldn't bring down the mark. In fact, Jackson does. So Himmelberg saying, I got a fair chunk of that, but the mark is paid to Jackson in the right back pocket for the Demons. Swings it across the face of goal to Lever.
Lever at fullback for Melbourne. Calls his troops to gallop out to the members' side. That's where he directs his kick. McDonald will fly. Kelly in front of it all. Missed it with the fist. Ball gets to the back over for a boundary throw-in.
Callahan's got a lovely long left foot on him. That's going to serve him well in his career. He looks a bit tired now, though, the young fella. He's just sprinted off the bench, but he's had the old floppy arms and the head bobbing up and down after that kick across. But I've seen enough of him to say, boy, he's got some skills.
Third pick in last year's draft out of the Sandringham Dragons. Oliver at the stoppage, handball to Gawn, to Brayshaw, who pops it out in front of Petrarca, who's made to work for that one. Spargo came up to support him. Perryman was there. Petrarca just pushed Perryman off the football, and then Spargo got it to Petrarca somehow. He threw it. Perryman dragged the Norm Smith medalist down away from the ball. Free kick will go to Steen just in front of the wing. He tries to cut it through the corridor, set Whitfield a task. Rivers is there to intercept. Whitfield comes diving in over the top of him, locks the football up. Brendan Hosking says, give it to me, and a ball up on the front point of the square. The Giants into attack. Margin still 62. No change to the three-quarter time score.
So after 12 goals between the two sides in the third quarter, still no score in this final term as Green wins the ball from the stoppage. Long kick inside, forward 50 off hands for a minus score. Now we've got the first score of the final term.
Summoned it nicely, Jess.
Melbourne 16-4-100. The Giants 5-9-39. Margin 61. 6 minutes played, final term.
May into Lever. What a defensive duo they've become. Short to Viney. Jack Viney, impressive tonight. 24th disposal he's coming up for. 19 of them contested. Whacks it down the line. Wiedemann in front. Couldn't take the mark. Steen fisted it forward. Only as far as Brayshaw for the D's. Neil Bullen, handball under pressure at halfback. Got it to Rivers. His handball deflected, but found Sparrow. And now Brayshaw just ambles off the defensive 50. Sends it wide. Jackson gets down low and picks it up. Handball to Langdon, who handballs back to the run of Jackson, who shoots it short to Sparrow. Oh, in fact, Spargo who marks. 60 metres out at right half forward. Gets onto his right boot, sends it to the pocket. Wonderful vision. Outstanding vision to find Neil Bullen. He found him from outside 50. None of the Giants defenders who were 2 metres away could find Neil Bullen. And he took an uncontested mark in the forward pocket.
Luke Jackson's work rate then to get all the way across the other side of the ground. He was involved in 2 or 3 possessions, and how skilled is he for a big guy?
So Alex Neil-Bullen kicked one in the third. Curls it around the body. Just sneaks it in for a minor score. So behind a piece. 62 points the margin once more. 7 minutes gone last term.
Steen from fullback. Kicks out to the defensive 50 arc and finds Bobby Hill, whose mark still inside defensive 50. Unsure where to go. Now called to play on. Oh, dances around. Bowie on the mark, just keeps it alive. Handballs inboard to Ward, who cuts a kick into the corridor. Wonderful vision. Finds up Perryman from the centre circles. Flares it out wide to Ash, who's marked on the wing. Forced to hold up play. Kicks over the top to Iden, who presents just forward of the wing. Chips inboard to Keefe. Marks just outside the centre square. Keefe kicks out wide to Ash. So they did well to open up the ground with that wonderful kick into the corridor, but now they've just been forced to hold it up. Ash pumps it long. Shallow entry inside 50, but it pays off. Tom Green just worked his way into the path of the footy and takes the mark 40 metres out, 45-degree angle to the left.
Well, I think you put the moz on him last time. Kez, when he had a shot. Was that Tom?
It was.
What do you reckon about this one?
Yeah, pressure's off now, isn't it? I mean, the game's not on the line anymore. These tend to be probably the more easier kick, isn't it? No, I reckon he's going to slot this.
So he's kicked 2 behinds tonight, Tom Green. Young rising star for the Giants. Lets it go. Misses to the left.
Guess not.
It's not a very fluent shot for goal style from a talented player. He's up to 28 disposals, but yeah, needs to work on that in front of goal, because that's 2 pretty easy shots dead in front.
So Melbourne 16-5-101, the Giants 5-10-40, 61 points the margin, nearly 10 minutes gone, final term.
3 behinds for the evening for Tom Green. May whacks it out toward the members' side. Wiedemann 2 hands to it. Taylor did enough to worry him out of it. Oliver was at their feet trying to get the handball away. Picked up by De Boer in the mess. He tumbles it inside the forward 50. Petty left it behind. Hogan went without it as well. Lever, the fend off of Himmelberg. Got the handball away to Rivers. He flicks a handball to Jordan. Standing start outside the defensive 50. Jackson and Keith. Keith knocks it down. Fritches away through the traffic. Melbourne building quickly. It was Sparrow who gave it by hand to Spargo. The D's have opened up the inside 50. Spargo darts the kick inside over the head of Fritsch. Sparrow might be first there. Runs onto it in the right forward pocket. A brilliant tap onto Fritsch. And the teamwork rewarded again for the D's. They're 17th as they go end to end. And Sparrow worked all the way up the ground, only to knock it on. And he gets the plaudits as Fritsch gets the finish. 17-5, 107 to the Giants, 5-10-40. 10.5 minutes gone in the final term. Bailey Fritsch with his third.
And what I loved about that as well, Kez, it was Bailey Fritsch ended up getting the goal, but I think it was Sparrow who tapped it across unselfishly. But every single player from Melbourne, almost from their back line forward, ran over to Sparrow and said, mate, well done, great team play. You know, you could have picked it up and had a snapshot yourself, but you did the right thing by the team. And that's just what I've been noticing from Melbourne all over the ground. They're so happy to reward and happy for their teammates' success.
Yeah, there's no doubt that that'll be one of the things that's replayed on Monday at their review session, and clearly by the response of his teammates, they value that very highly.
So Keith takes it out of the ruck from the restart, kicks towards half forward. Kelly gives it to Ash. Bullets a pass inside 50, fisted away from Canelio by Rivers. Throw in 40 metres around from the Giants' goal.
Jess, this is going to be a bit of a blowout here. 67 points? I'm going to need one of your fun facts to liven up this last quarter.
Who did Berkey play basketball with? That's generally the direction in which they go.
You're going to answer that for me?
I'll tell you the answer to that one.
Challenge laid down for this final term to Jess Webster. Ball rumbles around on the forward 50 for the Giants. Green got the handball away. Neil Bullen. A lot of Giants there. Taranto came up with it. Harms rips it away from him. His handball ricocheted back to Taranto, who got to his feet as he got the kick away. Kicks to the pocket. Hunt sprawls forward. He can't take the mark. Himmelberg's tossed across the boundary line by May, who has been exceptional tonight, even by the All-Australians' lofty standards, and will have a throw-in left forward pocket. Giants into attack. So 17-5, 107, the D's to the Giants, 5-10-40. 11 goals since half-time to 2 is how Melbourne have run away with this one. From the stoppage, Tom Green's there, feeds the handball somehow to Taranto. His handball cut off by Harms as the D's force it toward the defensive 50. Petrarca bangs it to vacant territory on the southern wing. A bouncing ball sits up for Nick Haynes.
So Haynes has time to gather and then measure a pass. It's a good one. Finds Ash on the wing and has Kelly running for him. Loops the hand pass over the top. Kelly kicks long inside forward 50. A pack forms. Spills to Brayshaw of the Demons. His handball misses Oliver. Has time to regather. Then gives the handball back to Brayshaw. He gives it to Harms. He has a fumble and then is tackled. Play on, says the umpire. It spills to Brayshaw, who flares his kick out wide to Langdon on the wing. Has Petrarca all alone at half forward. Is marked 70 from goal. Kicks a long one, looking for McDonald, who rises over the top of Haynes. Ball spills the Giants' way. Taylor handballs out wide to Steen. At left half back for the Giants. Wheels around, kicks into the corridor. Harms over the top and has given away the free kick against Taranto, who has the footy at left half back for the Giants. Chips in board and finds Kennedy.
Best and fairest of a couple of years ago, Tim Taranto. Kennedy loops the handball wide to Perriman. He kicks straight down the corridor. Canelio, who got crushed in a massive marking contest inside forward 50 a couple of moments ago, is back to his feet. Looks for an option wide and sees Callan Ward, who's had plenty of it. He tried to fake Jordan for a second time and ran straight into him. The sidestep went all kinds of wrong for Callan Ward there. Jordan eventually dived upon by Ward, and a ball up at left half-back for Melbourne.
It went all kinds of wrong because he had no one coming at him, Berkey.
No.
He looked up and the Giants forwards were stationary.
They have stopped to a crawl here, the Giants, late in this game. Tom Green to Ward to Cornelio. That's a trio that have continued to work, but they have nothing really on option inside the forward 50 apart from De Boer, who's drifted down. And maybe when he's your forward target, it's not going all that well. Matt De Boer's got it 35 out, tight angle right of centre.
He's played pretty much the whole game up there in the forward line. He's had 3 kicks and 1 mark and played the whole game, 8 handballs, the whole game up forward. I don't see him as a forward. He's not a big goal kicker. He's not keeping the ball inside forward 50 a lot, so it's a strange move.
Couple of goals on the season so far for Matt De Boer from the right forward pocket here. Sets sail for home as it just snuck across the face. It has. It looked good for 80% of the journey and just kept going left. 5-11-41 the Giants, 17-5-107 Melbourne. The margin 66 halfway through the last.
The Max Gawn factor, when he parks himself in defence, he has an effect on the opposition forwards because they don't lead either. They think, he's clocking a hole, so we'll just stand here and wait for the long one. But nobody tends to lead when he gets inside defensive 50.
May exits defensive 50 with the long kick. Harms loses his footing. Handballs to Jordan, who's wrapped up in a tackle. Now, guys, I am not a local, but I do have a question for you about the Seagulls. I'll get back to that in a minute as Gawn takes it out of the rug, handballs into space to Oliver. Trapped up against the boundary line, hooks a kick across the body, but it's picked off by Perriman of the Giants. Ships down the line, O'Halloran made to work, coming through, Taylor just gets the handball free. Taranto taps it to Callaghan, who handballs inboard, good vision to find O'Halloran, spears a kick into the pocket just past Hogan, goes over the boundary line. May can't keep it in. Now these Seagulls, I don't understand. They just come from nowhere in a massive pack and then they hang around for a while and then they just leave. I don't get the Seagulls. Can anyone explain to me why there's so many of them?
I think it's a one-word answer, and the answer is chips. I think that's essentially, they come in at the end of the game and pick up the scraps and then see you later and off they go. Bowie got a handball back to Gawn, who smashed it into Keith, who ricocheted out of play for a throw-in. They did have a deterrent of some kind on the roof at one stage, and that's clear it's clocked off.
There's some big hawks hanging, and no, I haven't seen them. They've got the wires spread across, but not really having much of an effect.
Clearly too late for the Hawks. Bowie got tripped up as he was a clean gather inside the defensive 50 on the move. And Jake Bowie has a free kick. He shoots it wide to Rivers. 66 points the margin of the D's. Hopefully that's not your only fun fact, by the way, for the quarter, Jess. We're still expecting something from you at some point.
No, I was after an explanation.
Rivers,
I was after you to give me a fun fact.
Rivers down the line to Viney. Viney chips it inside the forward 50 in front of McDonald. Rides the bump, puts the spin on, centering kick, finds Fritsch. It's almost too unselfish. Fritsch has got it 30 out, and he is directly in front.
McDonald had every right to probably swing and have a ping at the goals from where he was, but again, it's just another example of how Melbourne, they opt for the team play every single time, and it's why they get the results that they do.
So Bailey Fritsch. As round of applause for Jake Lever as he makes his way to the bench. Fritsch trots in, left foot kick. He doesn't often miss. He doesn't there. 72 points is the margin in a game that went to half-time separated by 14. 12 goals in the second half for Melbourne. Considering that best score was 100 points in a game, they've nearly racked that up in the second half and we've still got time to play. 18-5-113 to the Giants, 5-11-41. 19 gone final. Term 0437 774 774. The text number. We're with you for about half an hour after the game tonight as well. So we'll get some reaction from the D's. And you can fire a question to Kieran Harrington and Nathan Burke.
18 goals, 5. Amazing kicking, but they started off by kicking a couple of sort of ones out wide, but the majority of their goals tonight have been fairly easy coming from the corridor. They're accuracy going inside forward 50 is amazing.
It's a nice tap from Flynn to Taranto. His handball's intercepted and away go Melbourne again. Pickett to Jackson to Neil Bullen inside 50. Dishes off the handball to Spargo and it's raining goals for Melbourne at the G. 19-5, 119. The Giants 5-11-41. 78 points the margin as we enter time on of the final quarter. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke.
A couple of things there for Leon Cameron to look at. The ball was kicked off the ground out of the centre bounce by Petrarca. And it was Pickett who came and picked the ball up. He had 15 metres at least on, I think it was Perryman who was chasing him from behind. You've got to ask yourself as a coach and maybe a defensive coach, how does that happen? Is that just a player just switching off? Is it a player just not sort of playing the game out? That's the sort of stuff Leon Cameron will be looking at now. Who's going to put the cue in the rack and who's going to play this game out at the moment? Perryman, that was not great from you.
So the biggest margin between these two sides in the history of matchups, 78 points. Melbourne's win the first time they ever met. Margin at 78 at the moment. And the D's are coming forward. Petrarca dropped the mark, got it from Brayshaw. Oh, Jackson puts a couple of steps on. The fancy footwork from the big fella goes inside the 50. Neil Bullen went low. Keefe was there to try and wrest it from him. Langdon got a handball out wide. Spargo, he puts a step on too, sends it to full forward. Taylor's across, knocks it down. Fritsch bursts through. Jordan's at the top of the square. But Fritsch got rid of it illegally and 50 the way of the Giants. They haven't had much to go their way tonight. That one did. Free kick from the top of the defensive goal square. The margin is 78 points, 21 gone in the final term.
Christian Petrarca's a great player, we all know that, but boy, no one runs ahead of the stoppage better than he does. I don't think I've ever seen a player run forward of a stoppage better than he does.
He's had 29 disposals tonight, 12 score involvements and 2 goals himself, Christian Petrarca.
I don't think he could tell you who he's playing on at any stage. He just don't care, he just goes and gets the footy.
Giants work it across half-back and Kelly ends up with it again, flares it out wide to Bruin, who's marked in front of the interchange gates. Stabs the pass down the line. De Boer marks. He's got it just forward of the wing. Plenty of numbers up ahead. Gets around Bowie on the mark, gains some extra meterage and then pumps it to a dangerous position. Flying high at the front, Flynn can't bring in the mark. Hogan at ground level. Handballs to Callahan. Umpire says holding the ball.
Yes.
The poor first gamer didn't make a good enough attempt for it. Spargo with the footy and kicks out wide to May, who's marked in the left back pocket.
May to Bowie. D's just toying with the Giants at this stage. Bowie long down the line, sliding in his Steen, who's pulled up with a little bit of cramp. Max Gawn goes and stands on the mark. Leans toward him, says, can I at least help him out? Steen right along the boundary line trying to stretch the cramp out as he goes back to take his kit. Christian Petrarca's not far away having a good laugh at all of that, and Steen pulls up with the cramp as soon as he lets it go. Long kick to half forward, and guess who's across to spike it out of play? Stephen May again. Incredible night from the defender. 24 disposals, 15 kicks at 93%, 450 metres gained in front of 20,791. He has put on an absolute clinic.
From the ball up, Jordan just handballs into space. Bruin runs onto it for the Giants. Handballs out wide to Perryman. And now Tom Green backtracks with the handball to Keefe from the wing. Chips forward, De Boer marks close to the boundary line. Just forward of the wing. Again, crowded forward 50 for the Giants, so he just has to pump it long to a pack. Inside 50, coming out Hogan, fisted away from him. Brayshaw at the fall of the ball, just hacks it outside defensive 50. Gawn can't go with it. Taranto picks it up for the Giants. Gives it to Green, who handballs to Bobby Hill. The right foot snap on the outside of the boots, a beauty. A late consolation prize for the Giants. Hill gets his second. Still Melbourne, 19-5, 109. Giants 6-11, 47. Margin back to 72. 25 played final term.
Little bit too little, too late, unfortunately. It was a terrific finish from Hill on the outside of his boot. He has worked hard all night, particularly across half-back, and probably deserved that little goal to finish the game with. Poor Giants players, I reckon I counted about half a dozen of them cramping in the last 30 seconds, so they're going to hope that the last 2.5 minutes goes very, very quickly, Berkey.
Inside 50s, 54 to Melbourne, 50 to GWS. So they've had the ball inside 50 a lot, but you look at both teams, Kez, and the way that they've taken it in there, the spots that they've taken it to. Melbourne are great at just keeping their defenders home. They've always got 3-4 inside their defensive 50, make it so hard to score against.
Another starting position free kick against the Giants. I've seen one paid a couple of times. I've never seen two.
No.
That is unusual. So Max Gawn just blasts it inside 50 for Melbourne. McDonald the target, up in front, can't take the mark. Taranto at his feet, tries to wrench it free for the Giants. Ward does exactly that. To Kelly, who finds a moment's space, sends it outside the defensive 50 to O'Halloran. 0437 774 774. Keep the text coming through. Couple of good ones there, including a potential suggestion about the Seagull situation here at the MCG, Jess. There's a turnover going through the centre of the ground. Rivers ripped it away for the D's to Spargo inside 50 to Petrarca, not paid the mark. Iden knocked it away from him. Cruising through was O'Halloran, cuts the kick-in board to Green.
He releases Perriman by hand. He chips it forward to De Boer and then gives off the handball to Ward, who has a bounce. Runs to forward 50, sends it in the Himmelberg direction. Fisted away by May yet again. And then follows up with a tackle against Himmelberg. Handballs into the path of Keefe. Can't go with it. Ball milling around close to the boundary line. Still alive. Keefe picks it up. Gives it to Ash, who handballs to Cornelio. Back to Callaghan, the first gamer. Sneaks one home. The young 18-year-old from Morty Alec via the Sandringham Dragons, playing his first game of footy and kicks his first goal. So Melbourne 19-5, 119. The Giants 7-11, 53. 27 played, final term.
Well done by the young fella. He's down my neck of the woods, down there by the beach, and he was a gun player in the NAB League, and as you said, pick number 3, which is a... just checking what's going on here in the middle. Looks a bit strange, but no, it's all good. No 6-6 again. I think he's going to have a really good long career. He's got some skills. He's a good size about him, covers the ground really, really well. So I think the Giants have done well to pick him up.
17 disposals and 3 goals across his last 2 weeks in the VFL, averaging 17 and 2 and 1. Looks to be a prospect for the future, just in case the Giants need another midfielder, by the way. They produced them in spades up there that they've been able to get their hands on from the restart. Gawn's kick smothered, spilt the way of Ward, who got it to Taranto. He kicks inside the forward 50. May's in the hole again. Cornelio tackled by Rivers, trying to get a boot to it. Rivers, the better of the 2 West Aussies in the tackling duel, wins a free kick. John of Coburg on the text, 0437 774 774, says, folks, you will find that tonight the AFL have hired not 1 but 2 wedge-tailed eagles to scare off the Seagulls. They are perched in the stand. But alas, I suspect that the Gulls offered to split any donuts or kebabs they found with the Raptors. So that experiment failed. So there's your solution about the Seagulls, Jess.
Excellent stuff as Melbourne work it up the outer side. Kick inside 50, McDonald marks. Another beautiful transition from the D's. McDonald's got it 40 metres out close to the boundary line.
To your point before, Berkey, about the inside 50s at the moment, they're 57 to 53 Melbourne's way. Sometimes it can be, as you mentioned, a little bit... in terms of quality of inside 50s, I think that would be a better measure, because that doesn't really tell the full story.
So Tom McDonald will have to take his best effort from here. Lets it fly. It's going to pitch just short and fisted across the line by Lockie Ash.
if you to have a look at the targets of Melbourne inside 50s, you'd find that a lot of them are actually inside the corridor. For the Giants, as you mentioned, they were those long bomb kicks that Melbourne were just able to gobble up every single time.
So it's brought back into play. It's a monstrous statement from Melbourne. A second half demon demolition. Melbourne blows away the Giants. They go to 5-0 and win by 67.
It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Getting awfully used to hearing that song. That's 12 times it's played in a row after a game now for the D's. 5 this year. Really the story of the game was the third term. 10 goals, 2 for Melbourne. They turned a 14-point halftime lead into a 62-point break at the final change and kept on cruising away to record a very comfortable victory by 67 points. Bailey Fritsch kicked 4, Cozzy Piggott kicked 3, Gawn and Petrarca in on the act with 2. A very powerful statement from the reigning premiers.
It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Keep your eye on them, all right, because they will be right in the reckoning once more. 4 to Fritsch, 3 to Pickett, 2 to Gawn, 2 to Petrarca. Singles to Jackson, Viney, Spargo, Jordan, McDonald, Wiedemann and Neil Bullen for the D's in a dominant display. For the Giants, 2 goals to Bobby Hill. A goal to Callaghan on debut was a bit of a highlight for them. Goal to Flynn, to Cornelio among their night tonight, and 1 to Hogan in the second term as well. But it was all Melbourne, especially in the second half, who absolutely blew the doors off the thing to win by 67 points. 19-6, 120 to 7-11-53. St Kilda winners earlier today by 26, Adelaide by 19, and the D's on Saturday night football by 11 kicks. 0437 774 774 to get involved in our post game. We're with you for about another 25 minutes. Lauren Borden will head into the winners' rooms and grab some reaction from the D's. We'll bring you the song. We'll take a look to Easter Sunday football, and of course back here on Easter Monday as well. Before all that though, our experts, Carlton's AFLW All-Australian defender Karen Harrington, St Kilda champion 300-gamer Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke for their reflections on a big Melbourne win.
Well, the words that I think of when I see Melbourne play like that, they're just a very professional outfit. They do the right thing at the right time 99% of the time. They enjoy being selfless and they get joy out of their teammates' success. They work both ways. They're not just all running forward. They've got a settled defence, a settled midfield and a settled forward line. We know Brown has been out of the team the last couple of weeks, but you'd probably expect him to come back in, although Wiedemann did make it pretty hard, did pretty well again tonight. A little bit quiet in the first half, got into it in the second half. But they have contributions across the board. So we always say, great teams, you have your spattering of superstars, but the role players play their roles, and they play their role consistently at a high level. And to me, that sums up Melbourne, where you look at the Giants, they've got their superstars through the middle, get their hands on the footy. Green had 35, Ward 34, Kelly 33, Taranto and Whitfield 29, 25, Cornelio 23. So their guns are up there, but then there's a big gap towards the rest. But for me, the area that the Giants are struggling massively in is that forward line. Jesse Hogan is not going to be the answer. Himmelberg kicked the goal tonight, 12 possessions, was not really a factor at all. He was soundly beaten. They need to find some tall targets down there that are going to compete.
Toby Green's back next week, but it doesn't look like a one-player fix.
No, definitely not a one-player fix. Toby Green can't mark the ball in the air and take speckies and get the ball on the ground at the same time. They need someone need players who can do both. And unfortunately, Jesse Hogan, he's been in this league numerous times, and he's never lived up to the hype. And as long as he's their main man, they're never going to be any good.
Yeah, Berkey, I couldn't agree more. I think the telling thing for Melbourne was to have 12 individual goal kickers tonight. And my question to you is, where to for the Giants? Where do they go from here?
Well, unless they've got some players that are injured, that are hidden away, that they need to bring in, then they're not going to factor in the finals this year at all.
So their injury list. So Jack Buckley, key defender, but he's a medium to long termer. Yep. So that's 3 or 4 months. Brent Daniels, who struggled with injury, another small player. Phil Davis, who's key defender. Jacob Hopper's a midfielder. Daniel Lloyd's a sort of a medium utility forward. Braden Pruce, well, he's good when he's out there, but he whacks someone every second week. So what's the use in that?
And he's not that good when he's out there, let's be honest.
Yep, and then I just don't... There's nothing in there that says, gee, this team's really going to improve. And based on their... they won a final last year, but I don't know why people thought they were going to improve in the off-season. I couldn't tell you why they were going to be any better than they were last year. And at this stage, they're clearly not.
No, they're not. And their midfield are not going to get more possessions than they got tonight. It's not like they're going to blow teams away with that midfield. They got a stack of possessions, but they had no one to kick to, no one to deliver it to. Melbourne's defence were just far too fantastic for them. So, to me, how are they going to kick a winning score? 7 goals, 11. That's just not going to win games at all. So, to me, they're missing the finals, absolutely. And unless they can trade, but Phil Davis is their best defender. And how old's Phil? Yeah, nearly as old as me. So he's not getting any faster. Phil's not going to stop all that Melbourne forward line. If you put Phil on Luke Jackson and Wiedemann and those guys down there, he's going to struggle one out. So, they need to really do some recruiting maybe the mid-season and at the end of the season, because they're on their way down.
And then there's some question marks over the coach as well, which we will get to. Leon Cameron, you would say is far from secure. Let's put it that way, especially after a 67-point loss to Melbourne. 19-6, 120 Melbourne to the Giants, 7-11-53. Karen Harrington and Nathan Burke with you for more analysis shortly. Let's head down into the Melbourne rooms, though, because after a big win, they're ready to sing the song. And Lauren Borden's down there for us on Grandstand. Loz.
It was Max Gorn that led the team in, as you'd expect. He gave out a few claps, but it's just that feeling of another day, another win for this club. They're coming in. They've sung the song so many times. It's nothing new, but I'm sure they'll belt this one out after the big win.
So the D's, big winners. And as Loz said, it's just sort of business as usual for them at this stage. Karen Harrington, they were pretty clinical tonight.
Yeah, look, they certainly were. It's an interesting point. We spoke at the start of the game about how we're in round 5. Melbourne probably were playing at around about 70 to 80% of what their potential would be based on what their form was towards the end of the season last year. How much better can they get than what they played tonight? I mean, we've acknowledged that they probably weren't playing an opponent, with no disrespect, of the highest quality. Where do they get better? Because teams are going to work at, for the next 15 rounds roughly, they're going to have to find a way to beat Melbourne. How do Melbourne get better to, keep improving, basically?
Yeah, they're probably going to think of, what would a team do to beat us? Well, you can try tagging Petrarca, you can try tagging, Oliver, and try and restrict the way that they start a lot of the stuff. You might put a defensive forward on a Stephen May or something like that. So the only thing that you can do, you can't beat them by, we're going to go super fast. We're going to run them off their legs, or we're going to take a heap of marks inside our forward 50 by playing 4 talls down there. I don't think any trick like that's going to work. So it's about how do we limit Melbourne's, and then hopefully, if we can limit them enough and end up with 9 goals versus 10, well, then you might be in with the game.
Well, they say that goals win games, but defence wins premierships. And Melbourne, number 1 at the moment in this competition this year for lowest points against.
Yep.
So the average only conceding 60 points a game. So they kept the Giants to 53. It's just impenetrable. Their defence is so fantastic all across the ground. They just suffocate opposition teams, and it's just so hard to combat against.
Yeah, so it's not a case of, okay, we're going to suddenly turn that 60 points a game into 90 and beat them. So you're probably only going to kick 60. So how do you restrict them down to 59? And that's the trick of beating Melbourne.
They outscored the Giants by 65 points off turnover tonight. 14 goals, 3 for the Ds. They're the number 1 intercept team in the competition, as Jess said, the number 1 defensive team by most metrics.
Yep.
I mean, they just own the football.
And I think, to be critical of the Giants, they played into their hands a little bit by playing a lot of their half forwards way up the ground, and they got a heap of possessions through the middle, but when they looked forward, it was 4 against 2. And that was where the possession turned over, and away went Melbourne from that 4 versus 2 in Melbourne's defence.
The Giants only had 4 fewer inside 50s for the game, and they lost it by 11 goals.
Yeah, as Kez said, the quality of those inside 50s and where they landed. If we saw the heat map, Melbourne's were pretty much deep and in the corridor, and Giants were very much wide and ran from 45 to 50.
Or the long bomb where, for someone to have taken a grab, they would have had to have come from 10 deep and taken mark of the year, and that's just not sustainable. You can't expect that. And I mean, the Giants didn't have the coming forward, so when the ball did come to ground, they weren't able to maximise that opportunity. And the Melbourne defenders, who do a fantastic job of being able to flick the ball around and share it to ease the pressure on each other and get out of D50. So pretty ineffective for the Giants moving forward tonight.
We'll bring you some reaction from the Melbourne rooms shortly with Lauren Borden. 0437 774 774 the text. Melbourne winners by 67 tonight over the Giants. Earlier today, St Kilda by 26 over the Suns. Adelaide by 19 points over Richmond in the A-League. A goal 3 minutes into injury time in the second half gave Melbourne a victory, a 2-1 win over Newcastle in the A-League men. Francesco Margiotta with a goal in the 93rd minute to seal a 2-1 win away for the victory. The Wildcats 106 over the Taipans 87 in the NBL. In the NRL today, the Storm by 16 over the Sharks, Manly by 8 over the Titans, and the Panthers belted the Broncos 40-12. Nick from Torrensville has texted in on 0437 774 774 and says, "G'day, surely Leon Cameron is in trouble. I don't think Toby is going to be the answer next week. At least it won't be hard to drop someone." We touched on the Toby Green part of that, but has Leon Cameron got the best out of this side previously to now, do you think, Berkey?
The saving grace is that Leon Cameron doesn't do the drafting. He doesn't pick the team. He's not the list manager. He doesn't go out and say, right, we've got a depth chart of this many players, blah, 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 and I'm going to fill it up with these sort of players. I'm going to talk to this manager in this club and get players in. And that's not his job. I think whoever's doing that has left some big holes in this group.
Ken from Brighton says, "Hi, why are there so many blowouts this round? It's not over yet. Doesn't seem to make sense. The teams on the receiving end were not that bad coming into the round." I'd argue that North Melbourne were pretty bad, Ken, and they ran into a pretty good Bulldogs side, and I'm a North Melbourne person, so I can say that with confidence. Brisbane beat Collingwood by 7, the Swans by 63 over the Eagles, who are depleted, and we know the struggles that they're going through. And then the Suns lost to the Saints by 26, and Richmond went down to the Crows by 19. So I'd say we've had 3 big margin games and 3 that haven't been. So I'm not sure that there's been too many blowouts. Tim is listening in Esperance, WA. He said, "Great call tonight. Great to hear. Great to listen. and hopefully we'll be able to for the next 6 weeks of seeding here in Esperance. And the game's gone dull, so he's going back to some tunes. So that came through a little while ago for Tim, who's left us, but enjoyed the call tonight on Grandstand AFL. Lauren Borden's in the Melbourne rooms to capture some reaction, a 67-point win, and she's with Jack Viney. Loz.
Thanks. I'm with Jack Viney down here. 27 touches and a goal tonight, and just a huge win for your side. The undefeated run continues. How fun is it playing for Melbourne at the moment?
Oh, no, it's great fun. Knowing, going out every week, knowing, what your teammate's going to bring and, our ability to be able to execute our game style at the moment is at a really high level. So, that's when you're having the most fun playing football, when you know what you get from your teammates every week. So, it's a pleasure playing football with this football club.
And it must have been fun in the third quarter when you piled on 10 goals. What was the catalyst for just putting your foot down then?
Good question. I mean, we try to get our game style, functioning, every quarter, but it really clicked in that third. We started getting a bit of surge and momentum from our clearances, which we're struggling a bit earlier on in the game. So I think just getting a bit more, clean exit from stoppage and clearance, we're able to be really damaging going forward.
And I'll send you up to the box now. We'll get some questions from Nathan Burke and Karen Harrington.
Jack, Nathan Burke here, mate. Excellent work today. We noted up here that I think if they took a stat on high fives, I think your team would probably be number one in the league. You just seem to really enjoy each other's success and getting over and showing that you actually appreciate what they do.
Yeah, that's something we really pride ourselves on. There's a lot of stuff that we value, little actions that probably don't go, they go unseen from the the commentary box or on the TV, and they're the things that really make our game flow. So we value those things extremely highly, and we put a high premium on rewarding those. So our teammates want to do them more often than that. That's something we've really built our game off the back of the last couple of years.
Yep. So you're firmly in the big gun category with old Oliver and Petrarca and those boys. But we made mention of probably the lesser lights that probably don't get their hands on the ball as much as you guys, Spargos and Sparrows and Jordan and little Bowser and Neil Bullen and Harms. They play their roles at a really high level, week in and week out. How much do you talk about sort of playing your role, and not just playing your role, but being really good at your role?
Yeah, all the time. Obviously we've got some stars and some pretty impressive talent, like some of those names you mentioned, but the work that Charlie Spargo does for his football team, Alex Neil-Bullen, Jake Bowie, Trent Rivers, James Jordan, I'm missing a whole heap, but these guys are the reason we function the way we do, and it allows the rest of us to play our roles. So we put a high premium on these roles, and we touched on it. We want to be the best, and master them. We really put a lot of energy into that.
Jack, it's Karen Harrington up here. Congratulations on the win tonight. I wanted to ask you, obviously the team's performance tonight was absolutely clinical. How long will you guys spend reviewing this win, and how quickly will you move forward to playing Richmond here next week?
Yeah, we'll have a bit of debrief tonight in our lines, just go over a few things while they're fresh in our mind, and then we'll have tomorrow to recover, and then probably Monday we'll have a big team meeting where we would do most of our review from the game, but probably after Monday, that's where we really start to lock into our next opponent in Richmond.
Jack Viney joining us on Grandstand AFL. Jack, it's Jess Webster here. We were having a conversation earlier about how Melbourne can improve. The point being that it's hard to find any areas where you can, given your performances so far. But interested to know from your perspective, what areas of your game do you think you can get better at?
Yeah, I think there's a clear RFI in terms of our stoppage and clearance, and that's my area, that's my domain, and I really want to get this team functioning where we're starting to dominate stoppage. I think we've been so competitive, but we can take our game to another level there. The pleasing thing is defensively we've been really solid. That's the foundations of our game is contest and defence. So that's the pleasing thing, and then hopefully work on a few RFIs to really put teams to the sword.
Jack, the element of still tuning up, the way you finished last season, not everything picks up where you've left off, but in terms of just the way you came through those first 4 weeks, you were able to win a couple of games ugly. Did you feel like tonight was again another step forward in the way you're playing your footy? Was it a big shift? Was it more of what you've seen so far through the first 4 weeks? Because it just looked like the way that you were able to open up so offensively throughout the game, it looked like a big step in the direction in terms of the attacking side of your game.
Yeah, Simon was really happy with how we progressed our game tonight. He felt like we implemented a lot of the stuff we've been putting in place. So the coach is happy, which is a good thing. I guess on the kind of footy we were playing at the back end of last year, that was the end of the season. We played 23, 24 games up until that point, and we had similar learnings where throughout the season you learn, you adjust, you tune things. It's a different competition this year, different league. Teams have gotten a whole lot better, so we're still finding our feet and looking for areas to improve.
And the week leading into Anzac Eve, which is it's become a great part of that weekend of football and a great part of the tribute to the Anzac tradition. Do you take it all in the lead up? What's the lead up like to that Anzac Eve game for the D's?
Yeah, I know the boys absolutely love playing the Anzac Eve game. It's a special one. The atmosphere is terrific, and everyone tries to bring their best. So, really looking forward to another, big game against top-notch teams. So, should be a good one.
Look forward to seeing you out there, Jack. Thanks for your time on Grandstand AFL. Congratulations on a big win tonight.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Jack Viney with us on Grandstand AFL with Lauren Borden in the Melbourne rooms. 67-point winners to go to 5-0 and stay atop the table in season 2022. They're 12th straight if you take it back through last year. About 2.5 minutes before Demons fans will see you out with the highlights of tonight's game, and there were plenty of them to go through. Berkey, the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Yes, I've given Christian Petrarca 1 vote for 30 possessions and 2 goals. So,
that sounds bizarre, doesn't it? One vote for 30 and 2.
Yeah, just the one. I've given Cozzy Pickett 2 votes for 4 goals. I thought early on, when the game was in the balance, he was the real live wire up forward that kept Melbourne, kept their noses in front. And probably no surprise, I've given Stephen May 24 possessions across the half-back line. Again, early on, when the game was in the balance, he was outstanding and really set the Demons up for a great game.
As you've said, Kez, you're a defender. That must warm your heart to hear a key defender getting 3 votes.
I'm going to spend the rest of the weekend smiling about that because the defenders tend to, they do go under the radar a little bit. I'm happy to fly that flag, but May was terrific tonight. I thought Max Gawn was a bit stiff to miss out on one of your votes there, Berkey. He had 21 touches, 13 contested possessions and 25
hit outs. Next time.
First game and she's offering critique on the votes.
I know.
Righto.
I'm here for it.
That's it. Dropping the pen. You can take them next time.
Thought it was very stiff. Well done, Max.
Karen Harrington alongside Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Big day of footy tomorrow. Kez, you'll be here. Carlton and Port Adelaide. The Blues looking to bounce back.
Yes, absolutely. I had a flying start and had a bit of a blip last week against the Gold Coast, so I'm sure that the boys are very, very keen to make amends for that one.
Terrific debut tonight. Thanks for your company on Grandstand AFL. Berkey will be at Docklands tomorrow.
Will we? Okay.
The Bombers and the Dockers.
Good one.
You there with you?
Oh, I am.
Yeah, I thought so.
Where am I? I must be at Carlton.
Had me worried. I think you're here at the MCG, Jess Webster.
You're at the tip studying seagulls.
We'll be eating chocolate on the way in.
Patterns of seagull behaviour.
Look forward to seeing you then, Berkey. And then, of course, Monday, Hawthorn and Geelong, the traditional Easter Monday clash here at the MCG. Thanks to Loz down in the rooms. Thanks to Jules pushing the buttons here. A big thanks to a very happy Adam Jones back in the studio after the Crows win earlier today. It was all the Demons here at the MCG on Saturday night footy. They stay perfect. They go to 5-0, 67-point winners. Here's how it unfolded on Grandstand AFL. Wiedemann's there for the D. Squares it up to centre half forward onto the chest of Bailey Fridge. Has numbers running back inside the 50, including Petrarca. Directs the kick to him.